Filled. October. October. Filled. Filled. October. October. Filled. Filled. October. October. Filled. Filled. October. October. Filled. Into my body, I was spontaneously healed. After I came back into my body, I was spontaneously healed. After I came back into my body, I was spontaneously healed. After I came back into my body, I was spontaneously healed. Blew his head off.
Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back. And we want to take a moment to thank Simon Fly. We haven't used one of his videos in quite a long time, so thanks to Simon Fly for the wonderful intro. Simon Fly has been somewhat inactive in making music videos about these grifters, but hopefully he will return, and we'd be happy to play more new songs from him. Yeah, I'm looking at the live chat and people are basically saying they're so sick of this guy, and I am too. But I have a particular reason to be sick of Grifter Greer, and that is because this guy makes me do an awful lot of paperwork, right? For those unaware, one of the little known things about being a YouTube content creator is, depending on the things that you cover, you may have to do an awful lot of paperwork. And in my case, I have to do paperwork because grifters like Dr. Stephen Greer, who I believe, and by the way, this is just my opinion, having researched him, covered multiple of his scammy stories over the years. In my opinion, Dr. Stephen Greer is the biggest grifter and scammer in UFO land. And if you know me saying that, that's a lot. There is so many grifters and scammers in UFO land. So me saying that, it means a lot. It's very important that we realize just how filled with, let's just say, less than well-intentioned people in the live chat, or excuse me, in the UFO community. Of course, now I'm having trouble finding this. I posted recently to my X. You can follow me on X at Stephen Cambion. I recently posted a ridiculous screenshot of the multitude of copyright claims. And we've talked about this before. What some of these grifters do is, if I cover their video and I use clips from their video or do commentary over their videos, they file like ridiculous, okay, I found it. They file ridiculous amounts of copyright claims. And I really think they try to wear me down. I really think they go, you know, if we just file enough, make this so hard for this guy to cover us because he has to fill out all this paperwork every time that he uses one of our videos, he'll stop doing it. No, Grifter Greer, no, I will do the paperwork. But the problem is I have to do it, you know, like when I get time to do it. I haven't had time to do this one. This is absolutely ridiculous. And I wrote on X, and I'm happy to read that to you. Dr. Stephen Greer uses fake copyright claims to prevent people from exposing him. He is an intellectual coward and a weakling whose so-called evidence is so weak it cannot withstand any commentary or criticism. He is a 100% fraud, fake alien profiteer, 100% fraud. Now, what you'll see here is the latest of what Greer tries to do to me. He's trying to take money out of my pocket after he's pocketed millions of dollars from UFO people since the 90s, right? The guy's literally made millions and millions of dollars. He's after my YouTube ad pennies. God forbid Stephen Cambium makes $17 in ad revenue, getting a few thousand views. And look at the way they do this. It's customary to file a copyright claim if you feel that you've been wronged or somebody doesn't have a right to your content. It's not customary to file, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And what this means is I have to file 13 different fair use defense letters in order to make my $17 in ad revenue. But I'm here to tell you, Stephen Greer, I'm going to get my lousy $17 from felting you for the UFO clown show that you run, you asshole. I'll file all 13 letters, you asshole, and I'm going to get my $17 of revenue. After all, I provide a public service. As you're scamming people, I'm revealing your scams to the public. And how in the world, I always say I'm going to do this, but I haven't had time. How in the world is this guy allowed to sell an app on Apple and on Android where he claims you're going to summon alien spaceships and alien beings for $10? Isn't that consumer fraud if somebody buys the app and then they can't see the aliens? I think so. And by the way, there's substantial and supportive evidence that he fakes shit constantly. Flares are alien spaceships. Cactuses are aliens visiting us during our meditation events. He even once sold a moth as an interdimensional space being. And, people get mad at me. There are people like, well, he used to do good work back in 2001. No, he didn't. It was always, in my opinion, a scammer and a grifter with no real evidence. And let me tell you, the latest is now he's charging $7,000 to attend one of his events. But hey, you'll be a VIP. What the fuck are you offering for $17,000? That's worth, $7,000. Don't worry, he'll be up to charging $17,000 soon, and I'll still be correct. So it's kind of ridiculous. Hey, Dr. Greer, stop falsely copyright claiming me, or I may take some legal actions of my own. What if I decided that my time was worth $50 an hour because I could make $50 an hour doing other things, but I'm forced to do 13 different fair use legal defense letters because you falsely copyright claimed my channel because you don't want me making fun of you. And let's just be clear, I should be allowed to make fun of this guy. After all, he said that the government or the dark cabal or the deep state or the men in black offered him billions of dollars to stop talking about aliens, but he wouldn't do that because he's got just too much integrity, right? It's completely ridiculous. I have a very special overtime goal. If we hit the overtime goal tonight, I'm going to show you my favorite story ever of Dr. Stephen Greer. Oh, wait a minute. I'm trying to set the goal. I'm going to show you my favorite story of all time of Dr. Stephen Greer, and that is the top secret Porta-potty base. When you see how and he charged people money to hear the story of the top secret Porta-potty base. I'm not kidding. This is the thing. And also today, I'm doing this show to educate show hosts like Tyrus. I was sad to see that he got a spot on Tyrus' show. You might know him from Fox News and Greg Gutfield. I think he should stick to Fox News and stay out of aliens. But I get it. This guy gets views, right? So, people want to book him because, hey, let's get some this. It's easy money. This alien and UFO stuff. People want to hear about it. Let's get some of the money. FP Yusuf says classified as hell. Yes. The Porta-potty makes me laugh out loud every time. Well, I've got it loaded and ready to go. If we hit our goal tonight, by the way, we're a viewer-supported show. Unlike Dr. Stephen Greer, I can't collect millions of dollars from stupid people and promise them disclosure and bring them nothing since the 1990s. And let's just think about this. Let's say he's been at this since 1990. That means he's been grifting disclosure for 46 years, right? Or, I'm sorry, I'm terrible at math sometimes. 36 years, decades, 3+ decades of grifting people. And he always pretends that he has all these sources and he has all this evidence. I once showed his Disclosure Project book from 1990, which he said contained the smoking gun proof of alien visitation on Earth. And what it had in it was a lot of fake government documents, right? That's what he was selling to people. So he is in my opinion, he is the biggest UFO scammer in my history, at least. There may have been some bigger scammers in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, but since the 90s, he's been the biggest UFO scammer. He's lied and lied and lied again. Here are some of my favorite lies. Dr. Stephen Greer once claimed that an entire company in the state of Michigan got murdered because they were developing free energy. Well, we checked all the, every way that you can. There's no state police reports of mass murder of a whole company. I couldn't find any local police reports in Michigan of a mass murder. I couldn't even find one news report that a whole company was murdered. This guy lies as easily as he breathes. And that's what makes this funny to me. That people are giving this guy thousands of dollars to hear what he has to say. What do you think he has new? After 36 years of scamming retards with aliens, what do you think is going to be new? Like, oh no, this time, and then his fans get in my inbox, oh no, Steven, this time he's got new whistleblowers. And we saw last time he came out with whistleblowers. Michael Herrera came out with this fantastic story. And then his commanding officer said it was all bullshit. He made the whole story up. That never happened. Right? How many fake whistleblowers? I think Stephen Greer has more fake whistleblowers than even David Wilcock, right? So I'm going to put my fair use banner up. But before we get to the main event tonight, the main video with Tyrus, I wanted to share a few things. I once covered him scamming people for money for these CE5 events and literally showing them flares. And there's proof it was flares. There's flight radar that shows an airplane right in that vicinity, right? And even maybe some proof that airplane dropped flares right there in front of that event, but they won't say who hired them. Isn't that convenient, right? Oh, does it say $20 super chats? God damn it. I'm sorry. I'm viewers. No. Is it? Oh, let me delete it and start over. All right, we'll try it again. Number 3. It's supposed to be 20 super chats of 5 or more. Oh yeah, I did do that. Yeah, you stumbled on the dark side, Phil. I'll fix it. There we go. Now it's fixed. There we go. It is fixed. We have fixed it. Yes. Yeah, I apologize. Thanks for letting me know. Being visually impaired, sometimes this small print really gets me. I even got a bigger monitor, but that doesn't seem to help. It just makes things more blurry, right? It's bigger, but it's blurrier. DSP Begathon. Yes. No wonder I'm not getting any super chats. And we'll take a moment to recognize and welcome in the live chat. Reminding viewers, we are a viewer-supported show. I'm going to check in with the Kick chat. Listen, I don't know what did I do to the Kick supporters, because they used to buy subs and they used to subscribe. That's $5 a shot. And lately, most people are just throwing pennies at Double tooth. It's Let's Mag Burger King. Jesus Christ. All right. Super chat too, right on the air here. If you become a member during live broadcast, we give you a big shout out and thank you. Oh, there we go. Winter Soldier is already throwing pennies at me. He threw 2 pennies at me. You know, I don't know what I did. I must have pissed them off. I must have pissed these people off, but it's okay. Don't worry. Don't worry, kick brokies. The YouTube chatters will make up for your lack of finances. Storm Crow with 1 for the goal. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. And I do appreciate the kick support. I'm just noticing that it just evaporated. We used to make, I don't know, $400 or $500 a month on Kick. It's gone. Now it's pennies. People are throwing pennies at me on Kick. Yeah, throw lots of pennies. That's how you make. Yeah, no. I'm only going to be reading Kick support if it's $1 or more. Come on, guys. Stop there. And then it's funny. Last night I complained they were throwing pennies at me, so then they started throwing nickels and dimes and said that was an upgrade, right? Tales of the Sonic Voyage is here. My tide to the boss. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. Come on, all you dents. You got your checks. It's the beginning of the month. Pig Monster 220 Real says we're broke. We're bums. Yeah. Arlene, I'll have to fix that when I get a chance. Hold on. Let me see if I can do it right now. I have no idea how to do it right now. I'm sorry, Arlene. I'll have to get back to you on that. All right. So thank you, Tales of the Sonic Voyage, for kindness, generosity, and support of the show. Yeah, you guys got to help pay for Spooky to make art, because every month I have to decide whether I'm just going to go with the AI or keep letting Spooky work here. So, hey, you know, times are tough, right? Some of the AI thumbnail clips I make for some of the premieres, I don't bother Spooky about. They're pretty good, right? I'd rather have Spooky though. Him scamming people with Masan on Bugosphere should ring all kinds of bells for people. Yes, he recently, Dr. Stephen Greer got onto the Jaime Maussan scam train with the Bugosphere, which is so fake. It's been so debunked. It's so stupid. He's going to regret that one. I agree with you, Miss Anthrope. So I'm going to put my fair use banner up, and the fair use banner is up. Okay, well, all right. And I said my piece about the false copyright strikes. Stephen Greer, I'm going to get my $17 or my $27 one way or the other. I don't care if I got to do 50 of the fair use things. So I thought it'd be interesting just to show you some of the stuff that makes me laugh about Stephen Greer. This is one of his events now. It costs $5,176.02 to attend, right? And Miss Anthrope is here from Twitter and says, follow the money. Pay attention to the pivot. And Greer says, this ticket level is limited to a very small number of participants who will enjoy Dr. Stephen Greer's afternoon presentation with front row seating, a private dinner prepared just for the occasion with Dr. Greer and special guest Jaime Maussan from 7 to 9 p.m. For those unaware, Jaime Maussan is like the Mexican Stephen Greer. The guy's been involved in so many hoaxes. You know, there's Nazca alien mummy hoaxes. That's Jaime Maussan. The fairy hoaxes. That was Jaime Maussan. The marmoset monkey he claimed was a little alien. That was Jaime Maussan. He's the fakest guy ever. And Greer doesn't have any problem teaming up with him. Okay, so for $5,000, it's followed by the VIP after party from 9 p.m. until midnight. This is a special fundraiser ticket level, which helps the Disclosure Project further its global mission of scamming retards out of lots and lots of money. Yes, platform fees will be added to the final ticket price. So, wow, in order to attend an event with Dr. Stephen Greer, $5,000. And if you think that's bad, it gets worse or better if you're the grifter collecting the money, I guess. Watchik wants to see a thumbnail of a Mexican Stephen Greer spooky chop chop. That would be pretty good, actually. Okay, so I have this video to share, a couple of videos to share before we get to the main event, because I just think this guy is something else, right? This guy is something else. Just give me 1 second. I'm a terrible show host, and I didn't cue this right. Okay, one moment here. All right, I'm going to share my screen again. And again, this is fair use. I didn't ask for permission from this person, but she made an incredible point here. I don't think she'll mind, but this person is kind of a skeptical UFO Twitter person, Venus R. Miranda, at UFO_skeptic_hub. And she's going to trash Dr. Stephen Greer for being a money grubbing cunt. I love it. I love it. Right. She's talking in this video about UFO celebrities. Go follow her. She's got make some good points. Let's get into it. And I put the link to this Twitter post in the description of this video or podcast. Go follow her. Good follow.
Another celebrity that we have is Dr. Stephen Greer.
Yeah.
And more outrageously so, Dr. Greer every year has a excursion, you could call it.
It's an excursion. Yes.
A week-long, I don't know, getaway where you can spend time with him.
It's like alien dork. It's like alien dork summer vacation. Yes.
You see 5 protocols. I think you have dinners with him. And this year he's going to talk up to people about everything from his childhood all the way until how he became a ufologist and a researcher. And all of this for the low price of $7,763.
Wow. Almost like David Wilcock with the $333. Almost $7,777. Almost $8,000 to go to an event with this clown?
This doesn't include travel.
Nope.
It doesn't include lodging.
Nope.
It doesn't include food.
No, get your own food.
$7,763. Now, how does giving Dr. Greer $7,000 move us ahead in the field?
I don't think it does. Yeah.
It doesn't.
That's correct. Yes.
He doesn't have any answers.
Nope.
He's lining his own pockets.
Yeah, he's been lining them for a long time.
He's been lining his own pockets for years.
Since the 90s, yeah.
And he's had years to find answers. If he was somebody that had answers, he would have them by now. He's been doing this, I believe.
Yeah, why not round up, right?
He doesn't know anything either.
Nope, he doesn't know anything.
These people are lining their pockets with your money.
That's true.
So,
there's some stupid
people.
I
sit here and think the concept of a UFO celebrity in the field is an absolutely ridiculous concept. It doesn't make any sense at all. We don't need them. What we need is to push them out and get rid of them, but we can't.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere. There's too much money around.
Now, how do they continue to have these tours and have these get-togethers?
He needs the money for Porta-potty.
Because people are paying for it.
Yeah.
And if anybody's watching this video and you're one of these people who pay for it, it doesn't make any sense to do so. There are people out there that are doing real research.
Yeah, they largely get ignored.
That could you really use that money?
I could use some money.
$7,000? Yeah. I mean, give that money to David Marler. Let him do research with it.
Yeah, for $7,000, I could produce a couple. I don't know. I could pay Spooky to edit, and I could produce a couple of really great documentaries with $7,000. But instead, the grifters get the big bucks, and the people that do good work, largely we get shit on, right? Well, and I get it, because I come into the alien party and ruin their party. Oh, Steven, you saying it's all fake? Well, a lot of it is, and here, I'll prove it to you. They don't want to hear it. They want the fantasy. A pretty lie is always preferred to the ugly truth, unfortunately.
If you don't know who to give that to, send me a message in my inbox.
Hey, I got to get with her.
And I'll send you a list of people who are trying to...
Miranda, did you get any messages? I could use some money, Miranda.
do actual research in the field that could use those funds. If you have that kind of money, why are you wasting it?
Yeah, you're not getting any answers from these people. Listen, if Stephen Greer had any answers, don't you think he would drop the answers? But, no, he waited 36 years to bring us the answers. Come on, man. And, 36 years is a long time to be working on something and still have nothing but stories. And largely provably fake stories at that.
You're wasting it on people who have no answers. This is entertainment. Stephen Greer is entertainment.
Infotainment.
Lou Elizondo has quickly turned into part of the UFO entertainment celebrity field.
Yeah, that's where the money is.
We don't need them. We're not getting anywhere with them.
Yeah.
And we don't need it.
36 years of nothing burgers from Greer.
Don't waste your time. Don't waste your money. And if you sit here and you really think about it, just sit here and think.
Good point, Miss Anthrope.
How ridiculous it is. Why? Why would you ever
buy a Goy beam?
celebrities in the UFO field? What we need are scientists and real researchers.
Yeah, we could. Yeah.
We don't need
buy
people
7,000
that go
worth
around
of
the
coffee.
dinners that are being patted on the back, getting applause.
They give each other awards.
That are on the news. People like Ross Coulthart that are reporting portals.
Portals?
People that are having mental health problems.
There are a lot of crazy people in this, yes.
We're not getting anywhere. It's nothing but a clown show. These people are stealing your money for a little bit of entertainment. And it's a joke.
It is a joke, yeah.
And the joke's on you if you pay for it.
That's true. The joke's on you if you pay for it. That's true.
And some of you people, I think, just want to be entertained.
I think that's most people interested in the topic.
But there's many of us that want answers.
That's a sad, small minority.
And this kind of stuff doesn't get you answers. It gets you entertained.
Yeah, and it gets you more promises for revelations soon to come that really never seem to come, right? It's just, yeah, it's kind of sad when you think about it. These guys are making, listen, Dr. Greer has verifiably made, just from his crowdfunding, we can verify that he's made millions of dollars selling UFO-related documentaries. How much money do you think he's made on the CE5 app and the CE5 events? The guy owns several multi-million-dollar properties. And there's rumors that he's declaring bankruptcy or having financial problems. Why?
So if you want to go to a circus, if you want to be entertained by the clowns, but it doesn't do researchers any good. It doesn't do the field any good. So the clown show that is...
It is a clown show, yes.
The UFO celebrity part of the field is alive and well. We don't need UFO celebrities.
Yeah, I agree 100%. We don't need UFO celebrities. It's absolutely ridiculous that there's even such a thing. Imagine, like, just even the term. Go tell your friends that don't know anything about this. There's UFO celebrities. Forbush with one for the goal. Oh no! Sorry. You. I'm sorry. I should have read it first. Oh man, now I'm gonna be in trouble with this guy's wife. Forbush with 5 pounds and 1 for the goal. Oh, very quietly. I'm sorry to your wife, Forbush. Apologize for me. Tell her I'm sorry. Right? Venus dropping facts. That is correct. Facts 1-2 says do it again. Yeah. Hey, Forbush, send another super chat or I'm going to keep hitting that. Hold it hostage. No, I do apologize. UFO Insanity Circus. That is correct. That is correct, right? More siren, says Cosmic Banana, right? Oh, no. All right, let's finish up this video and go to the next one. We've got a lot to cover tonight, so settle in, get your favorite beverage, right? I can't have any favorite beverages tonight because my kid's got a half day tomorrow, so I'm going to get up early. I hate those half days.
You can ask anybody that's been in this field long enough. You can ask anybody in this field that is serious about research, anybody in this field who is a skeptical person about their research, and they will tell you the same thing. We don't need celebrities in this field.
All right, there you go. Another partial
Whenever
thing for the
somebody
goal.
comes out,
If we get halfway
even
there,
if they come out as
Spooky
a
will send
so-called
Mexican
whistleblower, if they're
Stephen
charging
Greer.
money to see them, to have dinner with them, to have their name signed on a book,
The anti-doomer.
if
What?
they're charging money, then go the other way. Stop listening to what they're saying.
But there's an exception to this rule because there are some very good skeptical books and there are some very good, well-researched books about the topic. But generally, those people aren't making shit tons of money. So whenever I can, I support those people.
Because at that point, they're nothing but a celebrity in the field. And they're not looking to help. They're looking to help
Anti-Gomez.
themselves,
Okay. That makes
but
more.
they're not looking to help the field. Period.
No, they're looking to line
So
their
do we
pocket.
need these people? We don't.
Nope. Don't need them.
We don't need them. And
Throw
if
them
the
out.
public would
They're
stop
bums.
paying,
They're scumbag scammers.
don't pay to go to dinner with these people. Stop paying for these week-long excursions like with Dr. Greer. If you stop showing up,
I appreciate her
stop
passion,
having
but
their
this is
tours.
never going to happen.
the only reason
gonna
they can
keep
continue
grifting
to have
forever.
these things is because people are continuing to pay for them.
That's true. Yeah.
Who are these people that are continuing to pay?
Stupid
I
people.
don't know.
Yeah. Victims.
Sometimes there are people that I hear that think that they're going to get some
That's
kind
true.
of answers,
Capitalize on
by
people's
going.
desperation to know the truth.
but they're not.
Pay
You're
for the
being
fantasy,
fooled.
can't get the reality.
Please put your money into real research and stop lining the pockets of these people who are doing nothing but tricking you. We don't need, nor do we want, UFO celebrities. It is not necessary to have them.
Yeah, he made a comic book.
It is nothing but a distraction to have them. We don't want them in the field, and if we could get rid of them out of the field, we would. But unfortunately, we can't.
Nope.
Don't feed into it. Let it go.
We're stuck with these losers, you know? It's unfortunate, but they're not going anywhere. There's just too much money to be made fooling stupid people. And really, they offer people false hope. Like, you really want to know the truth about the aliens? I got it. You know, get behind my paywall or come to my $7,000 event, right? Come to my $7,000 event where you too can get the truth about the aliens. All right. Now, I did a debunk some time ago of Dr. Stephen Greer and the flare story. And there's a Washington Examiner article that I did find, but it's kind of dry reading it. So I found this other video, which is also in the description of the video or podcast, from Sneezing Monkey, who is very good at, I lost myself, very good at debunking some of this BS. And he did a very thorough examination here. And I think we may have even played this before. I don't know why the video hasn't processed yet, so I apologize for the quality here. From my Google Drive. So all that Google Drive money I spend is really great. I uploaded this video 5 hours ago, and it's a 12-minute video. Still not processed, so I can't show it full screen. I apologize. But we're going to cite fair use. His channel is very good. If you like some of my coverage, I'm sure you'll love some of his. He's covered me even with the David Wilcox stuff and some of the other. Occasionally, I pop off so badly, or I guess goodly, that other content creators pick it up. And he was one of those that covered the David Wilcox. Me freaking out because he was saying that I got him swatted and all that. And David Wilcox saying he was going to sue me.
Not sure if you.
But his channel is very good. You should check him out. And the video link is in the description of my video or podcast.
Now, I'm sure if you're watching this video, you're probably familiar with Dr. Stephen Greer's CSETI program events, right? Where he takes a bunch of people who pay money for it into these excursions, and then often lights in the sky appear. They are meditating, following the CSETI protocols that Dr. Stephen Greer came up with, I guess. And then these lights appear on the horizon. But there have been voices in the past that claim that allegedly Dr. Stephen Greer could be faking these UFOs that appear during his CSETI sessions using flares, or like kind of parachute flares.
Nerd City says that people who have been roofied and butt banged by government agents dressed like aliens are looking for answers. Yeah, that's one of Dr. Stephen Greer's talking points, that alien abductions aren't really aliens. It's government agents pretending to be aliens. And they got robot aliens and stuff. Nerd City's working on a video. I hope to see it someday. He's got a great video on Greer. I've seen just little clips, little tiny pieces. It's going to be awesome.
Illumination device being dropped from a plane that obviously one of his accomplices would be controlling. And with that, creating the illusion that he's capable of summoning UFOs. Now, is that true? Is it true that Dr. Stephen Greer faked UFOs using flares? I don't know. But I can present you guys a whole bunch of indicators, and then you can make up your own mind, because there is a video from a CSETI excursion, I think in 2015. We will look at that later, but first I want to talk about
when they're not butt banging.
Examiner. I'll link the article down in the description. It's a very interesting read, but I want to fly through some of it with you guys together. The article talks about that specific CSETI excursion that is also seen in the video, okay? And they say that date saw Greer leading an expedition at Vero Beach on Florida's East Coast. Greer's website says that this week-long expedition comes in with the tuition fee of $2,500 to $3,500, depending on facility costs. Now, if you go to this website, or you click the link where
when you pay him, you're just paying for him. Then they charge you an extra fee for the facility or rental. Like if he's renting a little theater to give his talk in, you have to help him pay for that too.
The link in it here, it links to SeriousDisclosure.com. And it's not a thing anymore. I think Dr. Stephen Greer has a different website now. On a previous stream, we looked at
he took that video down
for weekends with him. It seems
fair
to be cheaper now if the prices they say here are correct. I remember we were looking at like the basic package costing just under $1,000 now. But don't name me down on this. It's just something I saw a few weeks ago on Dr. Stephen Greer's website. Now, this website explains that all of the ambassadors to the universe trainings are similar. All participants are expected to complete and return liability release, confidentiality agreement, and ambassador agreement, which will be sent after they had paid and registered.
So isn't that great? If you go to one of his events, you have to sign a non-disclosure agreement. The guy who says he's going to bring us government, alien, and UFO disclosure for a price, for money, if you go to one of his events, you have to sign a non-disclosure agreement. You're not allowed to talk about anything that you see there. That's because he gets caught a lot with things like flares and drones faking shit, in my opinion.
So back in early 2015, January 27th, when Greer's expedition claimed to have summoned 2 UFOs. The video of the sighting was posted to Greer's YouTube channel, and it is still there. I'll link that down in the description as well. Again, we'll look at it in a minute. And the incident was the first case listed on the photographic and video evidence page of Greer's website. So he used this incident that we're about to see on his website as the first case, right? This is like it's a big thing. What happened that day, for him at least, seems to be a somewhat big event if he puts it at the list the first place on his website. The video introduction says the event occurred between 9:10 and 9:15 p.m. and was a result of an invitation initiated by the members using coherent thought and meditation practices, known also as CSATI protocols. The video description states, there were no boats or ships seen anywhere in the area of the objects, and there were no jets or planes or other airborne objects anywhere near the object before, during, or after the event. That is not true, this article states. But let's not jump the gun. Now I'm going to play the video for you guys in the background, okay, so you can get an idea what we're talking about here.
So again, Greer said there was no planes, airplanes, or aircraft anywhere near the vicinity. So he straight lies to people. And by the way, this specific incident, I think, should be investigated by the Florida Department of Consumer Affairs. And if they find sufficient evidence that he took money from people claiming he was going to show them alien spaceships, and he paid an airplane to drop flares, allegedly, they could subpoena the records of the airplane company and prove that he hired them. If that's the case, the government, has subpoena power in a prosecutorial sense. If it can be established that this is just my opinion, I'm not a lawyer, but in my opinion, this is consumer fraud. If you tell people, give me thousands of dollars, come to an event, I'm going to show you alien spaceships, and then somebody can prove that he paid an airplane to drop flares at the event site, and then he's standing there like an asshole on video claiming they're alien spaceships, then he should be prosecuted for consumer fraud. And that's my opinion. Will he ever be prosecuted? I think the government has better things to do.
While I play it, I will read the description to you guys so you can see how the video and the text overlaps. So here it goes. Vero Beach, Florida, CSATI.
And don't you dare copyright claim me for this, Dr. Stephen Greer, because I have a lawyer letter standing by.
Expedition and the day.
This is fair use. This is a transformative work. We're educating the public about you defrauding the public. We're critiquing your apparent consumer fraud, and we're warning the public not to give you money when you apparently fake things like alien spaceships using flares off in the distance. And that's covered under fair use. And it would look really bad for you to try to stop a reporter from informing the public about your own fraud with fraudulent copyright claims.
Down here. It then says the following extraterrestrial contact was captured by a group of CSATI members during an advanced consciousness training. The event was a result of an invitation initiated by the members using coherent thought and meditations. Exactly what we read already.
Yeah, nobody's
but
ever
even
gotten
here,
to
like
that.
Greer on his own YouTube channel says
He was
this
dishonored
was
and
an
fired.
extraterrestrial contact. This is not kind of the new narrative we're getting now where everything is made by Lockheed Martin or it's all government owned. No, this was still the extraterrestrial phase. Let's take a look at the video. So the description says here, this is camera 1 and so on, so it's given a bit of background. The video starts off with one bright orange light appearing off the coast. Greer is heard directing the participants to please turn off your night scope. So you can, if you watch the video yourself on his YouTube, I'll link it again in the description, you will hear him say, please turn off your night scope, and note that a night scope would assist in detecting low visibility aircraft in the vicinity. Okay, shortly thereafter, a second light appears off the coast to the left of the first light. Greer confirms that these are in...
Awfully convenient. Turn off your night vision so you can't see the airplane that's dropping the flares. If people were using night vision, they could see an airplane. They could detect it. He tells them right before this happens to turn off their night vision. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that's part of the scam.
Indeed, UFOs. Okay, so you can see the light here. Note, and I want you to note something. The light appears in the very beginning of the video. Hold on, I just want to get to a shot here. Note how close the light is to the clouds. Okay, just this distance here, light to the clouds. Let's keep watching and keep an eye on that. Now the second light appears that I already mentioned earlier, and obviously all the people, they are like, oh my god, people are losing their mind, right? And to an extent I can understand that, because here you are, obviously they all paid good money for this. There's a little bit of this confirmation bias going on. We're all in this together. We all believe in UFOs and aliens. Greer is here. We paid for this. So if you see something like that,
I agree.
It's very unlikely that people would say, that looks like a flare to me. I don't know. People will be more likely to accept the narrative in a situation like that. But here you go. These two objects appear.
Good
All the
point,
people
Spencer.
saw it. They claim there's no smoke, but let's keep reading. What they describe here. I'm looking with the night scopes. There's no smoke. There's no trail. These are not flares. Greer continues. They were waiting for us to arrive. A few seconds later, Greer implores his group, let's welcome the beings on board to join us in meditation. This is such a beautiful color. See, you'll never forget that color, he says. This is huge, one participant says. Greer agrees. This is a major event. At the 3-minute 32 mark, the first light disappears, ignoring the light's slow but obvious altitude decline. And this is where I want to kind of point to you guys again. We've been watching this video now for 2 minutes, roughly. And look where the light is now in relation to the clouds. The distance between the object and the clouds definitely has increased, which means the object slowly declines in altitude, just like a flare. But I mean, it could also be aliens. Aliens in their ships also decrease in altitude sometimes, right? So what kind of argument is that? I don't know. So again, it reads, ignoring the light's slow but obvious altitude decline, Greer states that they've stayed pretty much at the same altitude, though. Let's invite them to come as close as they can. At the 4:11 mark, the second light dissipates. While the second light is quite obviously above the water as it fades out, Greer quickly states, oh, that one's gone into the ocean. See what it did? Greer concludes, now the way that you know that it's not like something like a flare, first of all, it didn't shoot up and then calm down. The video fades out. We then see a series of other photos and videos of the event. Let me see if I can find that. So there it is, right? These are the other photos that other people took of that same event. But were these UFOs? Or was it something potentially more terrestrial?
Now remember, UFO is unidentified. If an expert, especially an expert in aviation technology and flares, could look at this and say those are flares, then it's not a UFO. And it's certainly not aliens.
Well, the article on the Washington Examiner continues, well, the flight-aware flight tracking data attained by the Washington Examiner suggests the latter is more true. At 9:11 p.m., which is exactly what he said, right? 9:10 to 9:15 was the window where this occurred. At 9:11 p.m. on January 27, 2015, a Beech 76 Duchess registered was flying at 85 miles per hour off Vero Beach. You can see it down here.
That's
the picture. There's the plane. Vero Beach is right here. So it's just off the coast. Like the location roughly of where this plane at least flew matches to where these lights occurred. Also, why did Greer say there were no planes in the vicinity that night? That part at least is provably not true. Did that plane drop the flares? I don't know. I'm just saying roughly what I see here lines up.
Right
this
there.
Is slower than the aircraft's normal cruising speed and would feasibly allow the aircraft to deploy parachute flares or some other illumination device. The aircraft took off and returned to the airport in Fort Pierce. The screenshot below shows the aircraft's location at the time of the event. So it literally was in the perfect location when these lights occurred. You need to make up your own mind here what's going on. Could just be coincidence, but could also not. The owner of the aircraft is listed by the FAA as Ari Ben Aviator. He goes into a little bit of a spiel here saying that there's this Michael Cohen guy who is the only president of this Ari Ben Aviator company. It's like a flight school. And there seems to be a spelling mistake in the registration of this company because there's also a company called Air Ben Aviator. So Ari Ben, Air Ben, it seems to be the same company. Both have the same CEO listed. And that company at least owns that plane that was flying past that coastline. When I reached out to the Aviator College to ask about the incident on that date, Director of Maintenance Christopher Spear told me that the college would never do things like dropping flares. After sending Spear a copy of the flight record, he did not respond to any further emails.
Yeah, imagine that.
Incidentally, another aircraft listed to Ari Ben Aviator was forced to land on a section of Interstate 95 in Florida on January 30th, so 3 days later, after running out of fuel. CNN has also reported that Ari Ben Aviator received a loan between $350,000 and $1 million under the federal government's coronavirus relief paycheck protection program. So, look, again, I'm interpreting stuff here, but this particular company, if they run out of fuel, right? Dude, I mean, you're going to put enough fuel into your aeroplane, right? So you don't have to land on an interstate. I'm sure that incurs a whole bunch of penalty fees and other consequences. But if they really got these federal government paychecks and they ran out of fuel, I don't know if that implies that they are potentially in a financially challenging situation. Again, I don't know this, right? I'm just interpreting based on the research that the Washington Examiner has done here. But does that imply that they potentially are in a financially challenging situation, so more inclined to accept an offer like that from Dr. Stephen Greer, where he's like, you know, I'll pay you like $3,000 and you fly at that time over the coast, drop a bunch of flares. And I'm making these numbers up, okay? And I'm not saying that's exactly what happened. It's look, man, you got to make up your own mind. Okay, this is the information I'm presenting you. This is what the Washington
There just so happens to be an airplane
Make of
right
it what
there.
you will. The article
Right at the
concludes and says the
spot
top
of
line,
the
however,
sighting at
is
the
that the
exact
flight
time of
was
the sighting.
in the place at the time that the witnesses saw the lights. I thus offer a pretty confident assessment that what was seen off Vero Beach that night were not UFOs or aliens, right? Using it synonymously again is weird, but in fact, flares of some kind. Watch the video recording, it's here. And again, I'll link this video down in the description. You can check it out yourself. I'll also link this full article down in the description. You can read up on it. Also interesting to see how Dr. Stephen Greer's followers or people who watch this video react to it. Let's read some of the comments. The top comment says, why would a UFO drop flares? Very strange. 1 minute and 1 second, Greer says to his people, please turn off your night scopes. 1 minute 30, Greer to his people, so 29 seconds later. So I'm looking through a night scope right now, and these are not flares.
Yeah.
Now, why does he want people to not look through a night scope?
Well,
because a night scope could potentially allow you to see planes. At least that's what it says in the Washington Examiner article. Please turn off your night scope, Greer says. Note that a night scope would assist in detecting low visibility aircraft in the vicinity. So there is a possibility, if I understand this correctly, that a night scope could have potentially allowed you to spot that airplane. Whether it dropped the flares or not, different question, but you could see there's an airplane flying off the coast.
Sneezing monkey on YouTube.
Guys, please don't use night scopes. The aliens don't like
Link
that.
in the description.
Why can't they not use night scopes? What's the argument? They look just like Navy balloon flares, says Tovak. They hang around for ages and are extremely bright. The heat of the flares burns out and the balloons slowly float down to fizzle out in the water. Methinks Greer's pulling a fast one here. That's Tovak's opinion, okay? These are people commenting on his YouTube channel. And I have to say, respect for not turning off the comments. Okay, if so many people question what you have done, you didn't turn off the comments, they're still there, so I appreciate that. I'm a firm alien believer, says Car Chris MC, but following my engineering background, etc., those are flares. And very easy to see they ignite in the air, slowly drop down before the fire ends. Dr. Greer, I had firm belief in you, so we've lost a believer here. I don't know what these lights were off Vero Beach at the time. I'm pretty sure that they were not alien or extraterrestrial in nature.
This guy's being a little too fair. They were flares, sneezing monkey! Say it! Flares!
And I have to say that, like, some of the evidence we're seeing here with the plane flying by at a low speed, look, let me know down in the comment section below what your thoughts are about this. Do you think they might be aliens? Do you think the evidence is damning? Let me know your thoughts. Anything and any comment is appreciated. I appreciate very much also your time of being here. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for checking the video. If you enjoyed it, maybe smash the like. That would be much appreciated. You can also join our Discord, subscribe to the channel.
Yeah, he makes pretty good content, so be sure to go and subscribe to his channel. He does pretty good debunks. Yeah. Okay, we want to thank Duco Duos Alpha Ralpha. See, I remember, for his kind and generous contribution to the goal. Praise the cash. Orange lights in the sky equals you must meditate. So says Greer. That is correct. Yeah, there's orange lights in the sky. That you get those from meditating, or you get those from paying a guy with an airplane to drop some parachute flares. That's the other way you get to see the aliens, Duco Duos. And thank you for being a member and a long-time show supporter. Much, much appreciated. Duco Duos, Alpha Ralpha, hearing the call of the goal. And another person hearing the call of the goal is Sunlover 5000, with one for the goal and no message. But we thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. You people asked to see Mexican Greer, and apparently Spooky has done it. If we get halfway to the goal, that's 5 more super chats. We'll show you that. So thank you, Sunlover 5000, for your kindness, generosity, and support. Much, much appreciated. Thanks for appreciating us. We sure appreciate you, Sunlover 5000, hearing the call of the goal. All right, so we'll get to the main event. But before we do, I just want to put something on the record. I think that there is a rush to create media, even with huge channels, right? There's a rush to create media. You got to book guests. You got to record podcasts. And a big problem is that not many of these people have time to research their guests, or maybe they don't have the staff. So I just want to make it clear that, I'm not slagging Tyrus for having him as a guest. But what I will say is, Mr. Tyrus, if you're gonna have Stephen Greer as a guest, you should have a skeptic like me who is familiar with his many years long, decades long history of scamming people. What's unfortunate is that you just helped him scam more people by platforming him, because more people will buy his books, more people will buy his documentary, more people will buy his app. But you didn't give your audience the full story on him. Did you know, for example, Mr. Tyrus, that he once scammed the UFO community out of hundreds of thousands of dollars, saying he would create a free energy device, and then he delivered nothing? You could have asked him, what happened to all the money you collected to create a free energy device, Dr. Stephen Greer? But you didn't, because you didn't know about it. But I could help you, and I'd be willing to do that pro bono going forward if you have other guests like Stephen Greer, or if you have him return as a guest. Also, did you know that Dr. Stephen Greer once said that he briefed every sitting U.S. president since Ronald Reagan about aliens and UFOs? And I did an exhaustive search of all the presidential libraries, and all I found out was that he sent a few letters to the Clinton White House that he called a briefing. That, Mr. Tyrus, is not briefing every president since Ronald Reagan. And by the way, if he had actually sat and done a real briefing, or stood, whatever, if he'd done a real briefing for every president since Ronald Reagan, there would be a mention of those briefings in each of those presidents' presidential library. I did an exhaustive search. Except for the Clinton library, there's no mention of him. Not in Ronald Reagan's library, not in, George Bush Sr. or Jr.'s library, not in the Obama library, not in Trump's library, not in Biden's library. Additionally, Dr. Stephen Greer claimed that he briefed Vice President Pence on aliens and UFOs. Well, I contacted a media representative, and Vice President Pence never heard of him, never requested a briefing, and never asked for a briefing. Did you also know that on your show, he claimed that he briefed the sitting CIA director under Bill Clinton, James Woolsey? But James Woolsey wrote a letter. He was so angry that this guy was using him to sell books and videos and bullshit that he wrote a letter correcting the record. No, he didn't ask for nor receive a briefing. He sat near Dr. Greer and his wife at a social gathering. And so his claims of briefing CIA directors and presidents, they're all false. Did you also know that besides scamming the UFO community out of hundreds of thousands of dollars to create a free energy device, he then years later scammed another $500,000 to create a film about free energy? Now, he did create a film, but you work in media, Mr. Tyrus. I invite you to look at that film and show me where he spent $500,000 to make that film. He didn't. It's stock video and some sit-down interviews. Looks like decent 4K cameras, but everybody's got those now. I know YouTubers that have decent 4K cameras and a few microphones and some lights, and could have created that documentary for little to no money. What happened to the $500,000? And is Dr. Greer willing to give the people he took that $500,000 of money from to create this film? Is he willing to give us a breakdown of what he spent on that film? I think it was the Lost Century free energy film. No, of course not. Were you aware that Dr. Stephen Greer once claimed that a moth was an interdimensional spaceman? Were you aware that Dr. Stephen Greer once claimed that cactus off in the distance in the desert was an alien? Were you aware that he allegedly scammed everybody for money to see flares, claiming they were in alien spaceships, as we have shown you in my full video? I believe in you, Tyrus, and I believe that if you had known all of these things, you would have asked him some real questions instead of just glazing him to get the UFO dollars. And listen, I get it. I don't blame you. If I had a big platform like yours, I'd be booking all kinds of sensational guests just to get those clicks and views. But I thought better of you. And I think that going forward, you should be a little more careful about who you platform. And your ability or willingness to actually challenge them. Tyrus, in your interview, he said he went on a secret mission with Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top. Didn't that raise a little bit of, alarm bells? And by the way, Mr. Tyrus, I tried to get to Stephen Gibbons to get an on-the-record statement confirming or denying that story. Couldn't get one. Though I did talk to his publicist at one point who promised me he was going to get it. I called back 3-4 times, wasn't able to get it. So what we have is an unverified story where this guy's claiming he's going on secret missions to underground alien bases with a guy from ZZ Top. Doesn't that sound a little bit like bullshit to you? Were you also aware, sir, that Dr. Stephen Greer claimed that several members of his disclosure team were murdered by, I guess, the Men in Black or the Cabal? And I tracked down those people who were on his team that died and found coroner's reports, which proved that they died of natural causes. Doesn't any of this ring alarm bells for you that this guy is not to be trusted? I mean, were you aware that he's charging people $7,000 to attend an event with him where he's going to show them the aliens? Is he going to show us flares or moths or cactuses off in the background, blurry nonsense that he claims is aliens? And by the way, if he can summon aliens, why don't you invite him to your house and make him summon the aliens so you can see the proof of his superpowers? The guy literally claims he has superpowers. Doesn't that ring any, doesn't any of this concern you? But I get it. It's the strange media landscape that we live in where you have to get sensational guests that will get views. But do you really want to help a proven scammer who's been caught scamming people? Do you really want to help him to get more money from your audience? I don't think that about you. And to be clear, I don't know that much about you. I've watched you on Fox News, on Gutfeld, and other segments. But I just never got the grifter vibe from you. And only a grifter would be okay with platforming this guy and letting him tell ridiculous, outrageous, untrue stories or evidence-free stories and not challenge him. So I challenge you to do your homework instead of just promoting absolute disinformation, misinformation, and bullshit. All right, I have my fair use banner up. We're gonna get into the video. It's on Planet Tyrus, and I haven't yet, but I will add his video to my video description. And we're covering this under fair use so that we can educate people, including you, Tyrus, about the number of lies that Stephen Greer tells in an average interview. Did you know he tells the same lies over and over again, and almost no one has ever called him out on these? And many of them are absolutely provable lies. Absolutely provable lies. He did not brief any president, ever. He's a liar. He did not brief any CIA director, ever. He's a liar. And he also mentions having a meeting with Admiral Tom Wilson, and that's true. He did have a meeting with Admiral Tom Wilson. Were you aware, Mr. Tyrus, that he gave the Admiral a completely and totally, easily provably fake government document called the NRO document? That's been proven by experts to be a complete and total fake document. And he claims that fake document convinced the Admiral to go hunt for aliens. That's another fake story that Greer has been telling for years. A provably fake story because Admiral Wilson says that all these people making claims about him trying to find alien legacy programs or crash retrieval programs, including Dr. Stephen Greer stories, are a, quote, work of fiction, unquote. And I can send you that quote if you'd like to see it. Let's begin.
Now, when I woke up, I was in my bed, but it was like somebody dumped 50 gallons of water. It was the most sweat I had ever had, and I woke up screaming.
This is how naive I was. But I was an 18-year-old boy, and it had these beautiful eyes. It came over and touched me on my right shoulder, right here, and I went, zap.
We don't know shit.
We're half of one step out of the jungle.
Oh, this is so good. What an intro. I'll give him that. It's a good intro. Get that interest going right in the beginning of the video.
Maybe,
yes.
Right?
fast forward past the music because sometimes the music is copyrighted. I didn't check this one.
And gentlemen, welcome to a very cool edition of Planet Tyrus. And this is the one time that the Planet
This guy reminds me of a friend I grew up with. He's got tats just like that. Interesting.
Tyrus actually kind of fits the direction in which we're going to.
Oh, one moment here. Before we get too deep into the video, let's just get caught up. Anime Chris with one for the goal. Anime Chris is a longtime show supporter, a member as well, and big supporter of Truth Seekers. And we love and appreciate you big supporters and longtime show supporters like Anime Chris. And he says, I saw a light moving erratically in the sky when I was a kid. It was me playing with a flashlight. Well, there you go. Thank you, Anime Chris, for your kindness, generosity, and support. God bless you and all of our supporters. Thanks for appreciating us. We certainly appreciate you. And one more for the goal. We've got Wodsick, who says, I can't resist. Here's my 5 towards Mexi Greer. Yeah, if we just get 3 more super chats of 5 or more, Spooky's going to show us the Mexican Dr. Greer. Thank you, Wojcik, for your kindness, generosity, and support. Longtime show supporter and a Philly girl. So I like her because she's a Philly girl. And Philly punk rock girl. I grew up with a lot of Philly punk rock girls, right? I'm just glad that I never met her because then she wouldn't like me because I'd probably, have a bad history with punk rock girls. Yeah. Anybody remember that song, Punk Rock Girl? Oh, I used to love that. Just you and me, Punk Rock Girl. Thank you, Wojcik, for your kindness, generosity, and support. Well, let's get back to the video.
I am very excited today to have on my show to talk about all things extraterrestrial. He's been legendary in this field. Dr. Stephen M. Greer. He is a retired emergency physician and researcher who founded the Disclosure.
He retired in 1990 when he was like 35 years old then? That doesn't make sense. Why would you retire from a career in medicine at 35? Maybe the UFO dollar pull was just too strong.
Project and the Center for Study of.
I love how everybody that interviews him too, they just take the copy that he gives them, probably including saying that he is legendary, right? Do you think he wrote that Greer wrote? Here, say this about me. I'm legendary. Elaine Walls chiming in here. Elaine Walls is one of the MVP of gifting these free Truth Seekers memberships. And this, my friends, is why you got to hit that subscribe button if you have not already, because when a kind and generous friend of the show like Elaine Walls gifts these free memberships, you could win one, but you must be a subscriber. Then they get randomly distributed to the subscribers in the chat who are not yet YouTube channel members here. So smash that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, never miss a thing here on Truth Seekers. Hit that subscribe button. It's a big boost to the channel, and you could win a free channel membership tonight. I'm sure some other kind and generous folks will give some memberships. Thank you, Elaine Walls, for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, my friends. 5 of them. Big support tonight from Elaine Walls. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support of the show. Let's continue here, and I'll check in with the kick support real quick before we continue. One moment. I don't know what happened to Kick. I used to be able to take the activity feed. No, nothing to call out there. Oh, there goes that Kick paycheck, extra paycheck I got so used to.
Of extraterrestrial intelligence. Check this out. He chaired emergency medicine at Caldwell Memorial Hospital in North Carolina before focusing full-time on research.
I've never heard where he was an actual doctor, so I'm going to do some research and check in with this hospital. And I'll see if I can't find out how long he worked there, what his actual job was, and when he left and why.
And public education. Over 3 decades, he has organized witness testimony, private briefings for senior officials, and large public events.
He's never done private briefings for any senior officials, Tyrus. That's a lie. He said he briefed every president, Tyrus. You could check the libraries yourself. There's no mention of him doing any briefing for any president. He sent some letters to the White House. But Tyrus, listen, man, if I send a letter to the White House, can I say I briefed a president? No, that would be dishonest. You're allowing him to be dishonest with your audience here.
The National Press Club in Washington. This dude is legit. That's Washington, D.C. He prefers to be introduced as a medical doctor and researcher. And to be honest with you, you've earned that right. I don't think we should introduce you any other way. And of course, I
I like how he has to say this dude is legit.
Unknowingly,
When people are legit, you don't need to say that.
I've seen this gentleman because he was featured in the 2020 documentary Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, which represents a CE5 concept, human initiated peaceful contact. The approach emphasizes group coherence, quieting the mind, and a practice he calls coherent thought sequencing. So I'm excited to learn about. Anytime I can sequence my thoughts, I'm all about it.
Tyrus, did you know that he stole the CE5, so-called CE5 protocols from transcendental meditation? It's almost exact to some of the practices of transcendental meditation. And by no coincidence, Tyrus, he used to be a meditation teacher. Guess what he taught? You're right. Transcendental meditation.
Right.
So thank you so much.
So maybe he repackaged it to make it about aliens instead of about contacting spirit guides. Maybe.
For joining us today, Doctor.
Glad to be here. Thank you. Love your show.
Oh, thank you. All right, Doc.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Stephen Greer's never watched his show in his life.
Take me through I always like the origin story.
Yeah.
Was your dream always to be a doctor as a young man, or did you have several? Like, how did let's get to where we got to the doctorate, and then we'll get into what led you to go from such a highly respected scientific field as a doctor to the extraterrestrial findings.
Right. Yeah, that's a big transition right there.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about it because I'm the king of big transitions. So.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I grew up white trash in North Carolina in a shack, no heat and air conditioning. But when I was about 8 years old, I saw, and this would have been 1963, one of these UFOs, broad daylight, with my twin sister and a couple friends. I looked at it. Of course, my parents went, they don't exist. I go, yeah, they did. And it was right there, crystal clear, seamless, disc-shaped object. So it turned out around that time, my mom's brother was on the team, Northrop Grumman, that designed the lunar module, put the first man on the moon. And he was the successful one.
At one time, I thought this was a bullshit story, but apparently that's the one time Greer tells the truth in interviews. He did have a family member that worked on the Apollo program, and that's verifiable.
On that branch of the family up in Bethpage, New York, Long Island, where they designed the LEM that put Neil Armstrong on the moon. So I started looking into this issue. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with it. I was like, what the heck is this? So my little space in my one closet I had was 3 feet high of research articles and magazines and things from the 60s. So I just kept an interest in it. And it continued all through my youth. And originally I was going to be a forest ranger. And after I finished college, I was 19. I went, what am I going to do? So I went and became a teacher of meditation and the Vedas. And that was because when I was 17, I was this athlete, got injured in my thigh in an open wound, bicycled 200 miles to the North Carolina coast and got infected. And then bicycled back 200 miles. I ended up having what's called now a near-death experience. And I had this phenomenal experience I basically went out in space, and
He said he rode a bicycle for 400 miles, 200 miles one way, 200 miles back with an infection. Come on, man. You rode a bicycle for 400 miles? How long would that take? Does anybody know?
I had this amazing experience, and it sounds wacky
like I said, I really think this guy lies as easily as he breathes. It's like to the point of pathological, because a pathological liar will lie about stupid things that aren't really important just to make themselves seem important. Like, I rode a bicycle for 400 miles. Okay.
People. But my parents didn't believe in anything. If you couldn't put in a test tube, didn't exist. Right. They were very devout agnostics and stuff. But then I realized, wow, there is a conscious soul, and it goes on forever. But also, I could see that the cosmos itself is this awake thing. It was a phenomenal experience. So I'm being honest. This is really how I entered this subject. And then about 6 months after that, I just turned 18. I was up in the mountains of North Carolina, and I had this experience where I was in a meditative state. I've never done drugs, by the way, of any kind. But
so
this object,
those rumors of
since
gay
that I was sitting there doing
aren't
this,
real,
and I'd seen the same UFO I saw when I was 8. Now I'm 18. Popped in the sky, crystal clear, before sunset, up at about 5,000 feet, up in the Blue Ridge Mountains, North Carolina. And I went, wow, this is really interesting. I didn't think anything more about it. I said, well, they're back. And I sat and meditated. And next thing I know, after I was in a deep meditation, afterwards I stood up and there was an ET. There was a glow over the rise of the mountain.
That's true, yeah.
And there was an ET that I thought was a deer on hind legs. This is how naive I was. But I was an 18-year-old boy.
Yep.
And it had these beautiful eyes. It came over and touched me on my right shoulder, right here. And I went zap. I just zapped off the mountain onto this spacecraft. True story.
I agree with you.
And we started, it was not like a dialogue like this. It was almost like a mind meld where we created this protocol that I now teach. It's called CE5 Contact. There's an app. You know, William Shatner went up in space using it. It's hilarious. And that set me on this path of realizing that we weren't alone in the universe, but they ain't using your granddad's Oldsmobile. This is very advanced stuff.
He loves name dropping.
It goes across.
He just said that William Shatner went up in space using his app. Can we get a quote to proving that actually happened? Right? William Shatner went to space using his app. I think William Shatner did go to space using that dick rocket from Jeff Bezos, but it's not really space. It's kind of the edge of space. Hard to nail that down. But he went to space using your app.
Dimensions. It's interstellar, but it's beyond dimensions. It's beyond regular time space, and it deals with what physicists would call, if anyone's a science guy out there, quantum entanglement, where every point in space-time is connected to each other. So it's a very advanced concepts in non-locality and quantum entanglement, which is how you're going from one star system to another, but not in a straight line. You're going like this, right? And so I began to realize this. Now I'm 18. I didn't understand all the science that we understand now. So as time went on, I sort of said, well, this is cool. When I went on and did my normal stuff, became a medical doctor eventually. And
we're going to fact check him on this and say that story that William Shatner went to space using his app is bullshit, because William Shatner was in a UFO documentary. Hey, it's a paycheck where was it a tear in the sky or a tear in the sky? I never know which way they meant it. But he was largely dismissive of the whole thing. And he has called the UAP hearings that Congress is wasting time and money on ridiculous. So I'm going to call bullshit on that.
4 kids and a golden retriever and working as a doctor full time. And
this guy's worth millions of dollars and he doesn't have a webcam mount. It's like bouncing around on a laptop or something.
At some point, I realized in 1990, somebody needs to start dealing with this issue. And my uncle had retired from Northrop Grumman. He encouraged me to do this. The guy who was on the team that put Neil Armstrong on the moon. And we did go, by the way. I know
he loves citing dead people as saying things too. Stephen Greer loves to say that dead people told him things. You know why? Because you can't fact check a dead man.
The whole story behind it.
Yeah, I don't doubt that for 1 second.
Oh, well, they just didn't show us what happened. That's another story I'll tell you sometime. Yeah. But so what happened at that point, I started a project to look into this. And about a year into it, I was approached by the head of Army Intelligence and he basically said, what the fuck do you think? Excuse my language.
No, it's okay. That language is cool.
Okay. And I said, well, we're going to go and investigate this. We're going to make contact if we can. He says, you don't have the clearance. I said, I don't need your permission.
Right.
You're a criminal. I know who you are. So this was General Albert Stubblebine III, and he offered me in 1992 $2 billion to join his team and not do what I've been doing for the last 30 years.
Yeah, this is the famous, the deep state, the men in black offered me $2 billion to not do this, but I'm just too moral and ethical. You're such a scumbag and you do such scummy things, but we're supposed to believe that you turned down $2 billion. And by the way, I'm pretty sure that the family of that general that he keeps slandering is not happy that he keeps slandering a dead man. he loves to tell stories, and his source, a dead man. Because I can't go to Stubblebine and say, did you offer Greer $2 billion? He's dead.
That is to disclose this to people. So by 93, I was flown up from North Carolina. So by day and night, I'm an emergency and trauma guy. And then I'm flown up here to brief the president, CIA director.
Nobody flew him to brief a CIA director. As we have shown you, Woolsey wrote a letter saying that Dr. Greer is full of shit and there was no briefing. So he just said he was flown up there. Who flew you?
The time was Bill Clinton. So his first CI director, Woolsey, and the president had inquired about this, but had been denied access. Now, people need to listen very carefully here.
They didn't inquire to you about anything. You sent letters to the Clinton White House, and I have all those letters. In those letters, they basically say, thanks, but no thanks. We're not interested in whatever shit you're selling. That's the basic, I'm paraphrasing, of course. But basically, the Clinton White House blew him off after he sent letters offering a briefing to the president. They didn't want anything to do with him because they probably knew that he's a crackpot grifter.
Or we're going to go fall off a cliff. People assume that you're the president having all access pass. This is not true.
Okay.
The organization running these covert programs, forget what people call the deep state. We're talking a transnational criminal group that broke away in terms of chain of command under
correct,
Eisenhower
yes.
in the late 50s. I have all the documents about it. And whistleblowers. I have guys who have now died. Remember, I have 750 some whistleblowers who have been in these covert programs.
Yes.
Anybody who doubts it can go to...
He has 750 whistleblowers, but he can't show us one piece of physical evidence or scientific proof that their stories are true. So who cares? You have... It doesn't matter how many hundred bullshitters with no evidence you have.
DPIarchive.com. It stands for Disclosure Project Intelligence Archive, but it's DPIarchive.com. There's 20 terabytes of stuff in there. There's a huge amount of data. The more than the legal U.S. government has. So I got dragged accidentally into this other issue, which we call the Disclosure Project. So I started it first as a clandestine, to be frank, code-worded private project named Project Starlight. And I was asked to brief the president's people, his CI director. I subsequently briefed the head of the Defense Intelligence Agency, 3-star General Patrick Hughes.
He did not brief any of these people. There's no evidence. Tyrus, listen to this. He's going to tell you he briefed all these high-ranking government officials. Try to get confirmation from those people that they asked for or received a briefing. Now, he's real good at sending letters to people that he claims is a briefing, but sending a letter to somebody is not the same. If I send a letter to the the head of the Defense Intelligence Agency, and I call it a briefing, Tyrus, can I say I briefed that person if I don't even get a reply or a response? This is the level of dishonesty that you're allowing on your program to basically scam your audience, you know?
The project named Project Starlight. And I was asked to brief the president's people, his CI director. I subsequently briefed.
By the way, if he was asked to brief anybody, those letters would be in the presidential libraries. They're not. The only letters in the presidential libraries is in Clinton's library, brushing him off, basically saying, no, sorry, we're not interested. And by the way, I can share those letters. Just bear with me. We'll continue the video, but I'll find those. I have them handy here. Interestingly, somebody on Twitter just shared those with me, and I hadn't seen some of them in probably years. All right, actually, yeah. One moment here. All right, one moment. Let me share my screen in another way. One moment here. Let's get that just so that we put it on the record that his claims of, his claims of briefing presidents is pretty much garbage. And the only evidence we find in all the presidential libraries is, like a form letter from the White House. Well, maybe not a form letter, but a letter from the White House. Yeah. So, and just bear with me a moment because I have to look at this a different way because I can't read it otherwise. This is from the White House. It's dated February 25th, 1997. Stephen Greer, director for the study, and it's addressed to him. Dear Dr. Greer, thank you for your interest in arranging a meeting with the president and the participants of CSETI Project Starlight. President Clinton appreciates your kind letter and is sorry he will be unable to accommodate your requests. Unfortunately, the tremendous demands of a president as he works to move our country forward do not give him the opportunity to accept as many offers as he would like. On behalf of the president, thank you again for taking the time to write. Your continued interest and support are deeply appreciated. And it's from Stephanie Street, the director of scheduling. So that, my friends, is the only, there is no other mention of Stephen Greer in any of the presidential libraries, except, one second. I do have some other stuff from the Clinton White House. But again, it's basically blowing him off. All right. And here, one moment here. Again, just bear with me because I have to, in order to zoom it, I have to look at it a different way. Yes. And here's another fuck you from NASA. Dear Dr. Greer, thank you for your letter to President Clinton regarding UFOs, which was referred to NASA for a reply. No government agency is currently responsible for investigating UFOs because there is no factual evidence that alien life exists on other planets or that UFOs are related to aliens. I'm enclosing our fact sheet explaining the history of government activity in UFO investigations. It includes sources you may contact for further information. So did he really brief people from NASA, and did he really brief Bill Clinton? No, they blew him off. They blew him off because he's a liar. And of course he claims that he briefed Ronald Reagan too, and both George Bush's and Obama and Trump and Biden and Vice President Pence. It's all bullshit. He can't prove that he briefed anybody. The only thing, he's got his briefs, his tighty whitey Fruit of the Loom underwear. That's his briefing, His briefing is changing his dirty underwear after he shits himself when somebody like me calls him out on his complete and total horseshit, bullshittery, fakery, fraud, and more. It's ridiculous. Now, just bear with me. I got a few more of these. Interesting that these just kind of came up back to me again, right? Just kind of came back up to me. All right, I have one that just explains the Woolsey debunking him. He didn't like when somebody debunked him and said, you're full of shit. You didn't brief me, right? Okay, yeah, I have the debunks for the Woolsey briefing, but we'll go back to the video. It's enough to say there is no verifiable evidence or proof that Dr. Greer ever briefed a president or a CIA director or a DIA director or anybody at NASA. He lies. He exaggerates. He embellishes things. He sat at a social function near James Woolsey, and he turned that into James Woolsey and President Clinton asked me to brief them about aliens and UFOs. No, they didn't, right? No, they didn't. They never did. They never asked for a briefing. They never received a briefing. You, sir, are a lying scumbag grifter.
The head of the Defense Intelligence Agency.
Where's the proof that you briefed a head of the Defense Intelligence Agency? Where's the proof? There would be government records of that. There aren't. There are none. I filed FOIA requests. Nothing from the DIA that you briefed anybody.
3-star General Patrick Hughes, the head of intelligence, Joint Chiefs of Staff, Tom Wilson, Admiral Wilson, who was in charge of briefing the Joint Chiefs of Staff. All of those men.
He did have a meeting with Tom Wilson where he gave him fake government documents, verifiably gave an admiral fake government documents. And the only reason he got that meeting is because Edgar Mitchell, who's kind of a NASA hero, you know, requested that meeting and brought Greer with him. And what did Greer do? He gave a 4-star admiral a fake government document called the NRO document. And John Greenwald and many other experts in government documents have ripped that document apart. Why is he giving fake documents, Tyrus, to 4-star admirals? Could it be because he doesn't have anything real? He has no verifiable real evidence, so he has to use fake evidence to convince people that his scam is not a scam?
Men, notwithstanding their high rank, including the CI director for Clinton, had been asked about this issue and had either been denied access or overtly threatened. Admiral Wilson was threatened with being physically threatened, but also having a star taken off his
Admiral
hotel
Wilson said
and
this whole
retired at
story
a
is a
lower
work
pay
of
grade.
fiction.
So
Work
this
of
is the mess we're in, and people think it's not serious because, it's aliens and little green men. Boy, this is the biggest constitutional crisis in the history of the United States. Of our 250-year history, nothing comes close to this. The technologies behind, like the Tic Tac, you know, I saw that.
Yep.
By the way, that was an alien. That's from the Lockheed Skunk Works. And in this book we released a few months ago, we have illustrations of it from 1967 from military witnesses.
You need that book money. Need that book money. Come on.
We just debriefed a Green Beret guy who was in Syria where that thing was being used on a covert operation. So there are man-made craft.
What's the Green Beret's name so that I can interview him and find out what he told you and if this story is true? You know, we're 11 minutes in. How many times have I proven that he lied so far? He didn't brief a CIA director. He didn't brief any presidents. No president asked him for a briefing. He didn't brief a DIA director. He did sit and have a meeting with the admiral. Then the admiral only accepted the meeting because of Edgar Mitchell, where he gave the admiral a fake document. How many times has he lied so far? He also said William Shatner went to space with his $5 app. I'm going to call that one a lie. We're 11 minutes in. How many times has he verifiably lied so far?
But since the 40s and 50s, we have reverse engineered them. I'd say 80% of everything our flyboys, our jet pilots and people like that are seeing are ours, but they don't know we have them. So I debriefed David Fravor, who was in the Hornet F-18 that chased that thing, and the Tic Tac off California.
Tower can't count that high.
He's convinced it has to be alien. I said, no, sir. That's Lockheed Skunk Works.
His evidence.
Now, the big triangles are usually Northrop Grumman's or Raytheon's.
Okay.
Now, the president's not been read into this. Now, I'll show you. This is the president's briefing document.
Yes.
This one's.
This is a briefing document that he wrote. Nobody asked him for that briefing. So he calls it a presidential briefing document. It's just things he wrote, Tyrus. That doesn't mean the president was given this briefing, and no president ever asked for it. And no offense, Tyrus, but you kind of look silly sitting next to this guy that just lied so many times in the first 12 minutes of your interview with him.
Trump's. I've never published it. This is redacted heavily for sensitive names and material. But anyone can order this now from our website.
You too can order the presidential briefing that he never gave any president. What a scammer. Why would I pay money for a presidential briefing that was never a presidential briefing? It's just basically fan fiction, alien jerk-off stories that this clown wrote. This verifiable scamming liar wrote some shit that he calls a presidential briefing, right? But we should pay you for it, but it's redacted? Oh, come on. What a scam.
Some of the redactions. And I've decided to just go full Monty, push this out, because I think we're running out of time to get this disclosed properly. The reason
out of time to get some more money from stupid people on the internet.
The reason they don't want it out is that two things. The sort of the globalist fascist, and that word's overused, but in this case, they truly are industrial
But isn't
fascists.
that by design? If you say a word enough, it loses potency. So when
Sure.
it actually
Absolutely.
shows up,
Yeah,
it's not a big thing.
it's
If I
just
could-
like the racism issue. All these cards get
If
played
you
and
say
played.
it long enough, it becomes watered down.
Absolutely.
And that's usually by design. Can I take you back to something you said in the very beginning? Really kind of hit home with me. So when you were young and that first time you saw that UFO, did you have a natural, almost like a predatory fear when you first saw it?
No, I felt great joy because I knew there was
Really?
nothing to be
Okay.
afraid of.
Because all right. So when I was probably, I want to say I was probably 12 or 13, there was this special that came on, and I remember the guy his identity was covered up, and he talked about the aliens, and I remember he said that
was UFO Cover Up Live, I'm betting.
what I never forgot is I think he said their favorite food or snack was strawberry ice cream or something like that.
Oh, I remember that.
I think, but that
was Richard Doty, another proven scammer, liar, and an admitted paid government disinformation agent. Tyrus, did you know that guy drove a guy crazy named Paul Benowitz, pushing UFO stories at the guy when he was actually seeing secret drone tests in the mid 80s, I believe it was?
That never left my mind. So, but and I watched it probably, I don't know, maybe I became, there was something about it. It really just kind of hit home with me. Right. And I remember going to bed that night and I slept under my bed because I kept looking out at the street light. Right. Because it had really, but it was this, I looked at, after that, getting the information, I looked at space differently as a kid. You don't understand everything, but then years go by, life goes by. Right. And, I'm going to share this with you.
Now we get Tyrus had what he thinks is an alien encounter, but he kind of admits here that it's a dream. So does it really an alien encounter? Does it really? I don't know.
So I am in Tampa, Florida. I'm in the WWE, and I had I had a big feud with Big Show, and we did something never done on TV before. He used the announce desk table to hit me with it. And yeah,
nice.
And when he did, it missed the mark. Nobody's fault. We were in the heat of the battle, and it was supposed to hit me up on my shoulders, and it hit me in my lower back, right above my tailbone, which is, as a doctor, you know, is not a good place for blunt force trauma, right?
Right.
And my sciatic was done. I could barely. I walk around at 7.5 feet tall, and I was probably walking around about 6'2". Like, I was just in a lot of pain, and they were talking maybe surgery and stuff, and it was in fact impacting the way I lifted, and it was impacting the way I worked, and so I had some general concerns. And I trained with Rob at Hard Knocks South, which was where Cena trains, and he's a world-class trainer. So we're doing all kinds of. He's like on the state of the art. Like,
Stephen Greer looks pissed off that this guy interrupted his lies with a real story.
he trains Olympic athletes, so we're trying to get the kinks out, and we're trying to work through the injuries or whatever. So lo and behold, me and my buddies go out for beers or whatever. It's probably about 1, 2 in the morning, and I'm coming back to my apartment or a townhouse. And as I stepped out of my truck, I had the same feeling I had as a child, and I'm a big dude, and I'm not afraid of any puny human.
Yeah, Tyrus not afraid of aliens.
I just was looking at the top.
Maybe he's afraid
for some reason, the top of the house, and I was staring there, almost like a fight or flight moment for me. And I couldn't understand why my hair was up in my arms. I was like literally anticipating like somebody was. I felt like I was being watched. So I'm looking to see where it's coming from, and I'm thinking, man, I'm just tripping. I literally said to myself, "Are you tripping?" And I went into the house. I went upstairs, normal thing. I go to bed, and what I understood
that is funny
as
and probably correct.
A dream sequence was one of the
trying to encourage the kick.
And I call it a dream.
Goes my kick pace.
But basically, what had happened was I laid down in bed, and within a few minutes, it wasn't like falling to sleep. It was this weird movement of like you're looking, and all of a sudden it's almost like there's an out-of-body experience.
I don't cover that design pattern.
I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. And the next thing I know, I'm on a table and there's this film that's trying to hold, and I'm using my strength, and I keep pushing everything off me, and it's like, and I bench about 500 pounds. I'm a big, strong dude, and I'm physically pushing this stuff. And there's these,
wrestlers always,
all I could really see was eyes. And again, I think of it as a dream, but I remember these big, they were black, reflective, but I didn't feel like it was like a tiger trying to bite. It was just, I was confused, and my emotions was getting, and I was just pushing back. And every time, and then this hand comes,
I dreamed of a lizard
and just puts his hand on my shoulder, and as I pushed back, and I remember I was yelling as loud as I could, but there was no sound coming out of me. It was the most helpless I had ever felt in my life, but I still was able to like push. Then it was almost a calming, like, we're not going to hurt you. We want to help. It was not like that, not a communication, like a conversation, but there was this.
Arlene, that's like me and my wife. I'm 6'2", 6'3". She's 5'0". But opposites attract, right? I always liked sort of petite, small girls, you know. They make me feel more manly, I guess. I don't know.
This is not, you were safe. It's okay. And once I relaxed, I was able to, I no longer felt the film like over my, it was like you had a plastic bag sucked in your mouth. That's probably the best way I could describe this panic and the sweat. And then all of a sudden it was just calm.
It looks weird.
And he was feeling over my like abdomen area with his hands, and then the table kind of moved to my back, and he went down to where my back was and kind of went up, and then all of a sudden I just powered out as best I could, and I felt myself pushing the film, and then it was just done. Now when I woke up, I was in my bed, but it was like somebody dumped 50 gallons of water. It was the most sweat I had ever had, and I woke up screaming like I was in the middle of a fight, like a yell. And I said, wow, I had the craziest dream last night. It felt so real. I went to train in the morning. Now, the day before I was bent over, and we were doing maybe $125 on the thing, like no heavy weights, trying to learn how to lift again and work on the swelling and doing the cups and electrolysis and ice and heat. I came in, and then when I walked in, I had done something I had never done. I hit my head on the door. I had not hit my head on the door in a long time because I was always hunched over.
Right. Yeah.
And my trainer looked at me. He's like, "Oh, you're standing good today." And I hadn't noticed. And I was like, "I am." And I went from, at that time, because I had been hurt for so long, all my strength numbers had went down considerably. And I was dealing with a little depression because I went from benching, really high, 400 and 500 pounds. So like I'm down to like 220, barely getting it up because my back is so tight and everything hurts.
Right.
So just messing around that day, I was just weird. I think everyone else was deadlifting, and we started, and then he was like, "Let's put another one. Let's put another." It was almost like unbreakable. Like where I went from being hurt to being, I PR'd that month. I PR'd everything. Yeah. I like felt like $1 million. Like I was completely. And the swelling in the back, they were talking about drilling a hole in my back to alleviate the pressure.
We're just going to have to make this about him eventually, right?
And my trainer's like, the swelling's gone. So then I was like, I have a choice. I'm going to sound like I'm fucking batshit crazy. And I just told my trainer, look, I had the crate, because he's a science guy. He's a numbers guy. He's like Spock. He has no emotion. He doesn't get caught up. It's very hard to get him caught up in anything. And he could not explain the transformation that basically
ending in 30 minutes.
I can.
That would be great. That would be great. I have always said it was a dream, but I posed to him. I said, look, either it's real and they fixed my back, or I had the craziest dream and I just willpowered it. But either way,
good question.
Or so if you could explain that, and like I said, I have never told that story, but that is something that has changed the course of my life physically. Probably added another 5 years onto my lifting and wrestling career.
Sure. Well, for sure, we've had dozens of experiences like that with our team members.
Okay.
If you look at the movie Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, it's on Amazon Prime and Tubi.
Oh, I've seen it.
Well, there's a story in there where
here's how he makes it about him. Yeah, we got a lot of stories about that. Buy my documentary.
We were up in the wilderness of Arizona, and we made contact, and an ET came in. We have a photograph of it. It's in the movie. and you can put it up and post it on this. And there was a man right across from me. There was a circle of about 30 of us. We're in a remote area. And this ET, the David Marconi, who wrote Enemy of the State with Gene Hackman and Will Smith, he was there, and a great photographer, and he took a picture of this ET. But that man had contact with this ET, big triangular shaped head, very unusual. And the next morning he woke up, because at the very end of this, he just thought and sent a message to this ET, and it was a physical ET. We heard it walking around.
You are correct.
And he said, if you could do something about my hearing, because since middle school, he had almost complete hearing loss, and he had a $5,000 hearing aids. He woke up the next morning, 100% normal hearing. We had a man with intractable chronic back problems, had the same thing happen that you did. Now, the experience of that dreamlike state, the hypnagogic state.
Hypnagogic, what?
It's called, where you're kind of going between waking and sleep. That is an area that's very trans-dimensional. It crosses into other dimensions, which if you're traveling beyond the speed of light, I wrote a paper about this in the early 90s. It's called the crossing point of light. When you go faster than the speed of light, atoms, all that, you're crossed into a dimension, other dimension, that is increasingly conscious and dreamlike and thought-based, but it's integrated with this material dimension. So we understand this. And so if you're an advanced civilization that's mastered that technology, you can move amongst and between dimensions as easily as you and I fly to Paris on a plane.
God bless.
Okay, so this begins to get into a whole area. You know, as a doctor, I was taken years ago to an underground facility in El Paso on the border. And it was an interesting story. There was a guy who was following me around the airport where I was connecting in Houston. I didn't know who he was, Billy F. Gibbons of ZZ Top. And he goes, "Hey, man, I know one of these scientists you're meeting with, and I'd like to go." I said, "Whoa, I mean."
So he just said that Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top, you know, the guy with the beard, guitar player, Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top was following around in an airport. And Greer is about to go on a secret mission to an underground alien base. And Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top wants to go with him.
I'm their guest. If they want you, he says, "Well, then," they said, "I can't go unless you clear me to go." I said, "You're clear. Let's go, man." So I took him to, and they had developed technologies that were covert based on studying ET technologies, where they could do what these ETs did to you and regrow a missing arm from that phantom pain.
All right, just so we're clear, he just said that he met Billy Gibbons was chasing him around an airport, following him around an airport, while he was on his way to a secret underground alien base, and then to see technology that could just regrow arms. Like, I don't even know what to say about this. It's so fucking stupid. It's so fucking stupid.
And heal spinal cord injury. So they wanted me to see this because I'm a medical and a trauma doctor, right? I've seen most horrible things you can imagine. Right. And so I said, "Yeah, well, we know this." And I said, "But the problem is, the things that have to come out first are, first they released all the digital stuff we're using now."
Yeah, come on, Tyrus. He just said he went on a secret mission to an alien underground base with Billy Gibbons of ZZ Top. You know, I haven't listened to many of your interviews, so I don't know like what your interview skills are like, but isn't that a point where you go like, "Wait, did you just say you went on a secret mission with Billy Gibbons to an alien base and you saw arms regrown from alien technology?" That might be a good time to interject and clarify if that's really what he's saying here. And by the way, yes, it is, because he said it in a documentary too. Like I said, this guy lies as easily as he breathes. And Third Phase of Moon and some other jerk-offs were all, "You can't prove that he didn't, Steven. Come on. Come on, man. I have to prove that he didn't go on a mission, a secret mission to an alien underground base with Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top. It's so childish and stupid. Let him. Let's get Billy Gibbons on the phone right now, Greer, to verify that this story happened. And let's see if Billy Gibbons saw a human arm regrown by alien technology in a secret alien underground base. It's so fucking stupid and childish and ridiculous. This guy is a lying scumbag. It's so dumb."
That was 50s, 60s, 70s. but the technologies that would heal, but also get us completely free of being dependent on foreign oil. That's what this is. Go look at what those UAPs and how they move.
Yeah. How much
our infrared sensors from our satellites and jets, the classified stuff.
It's just been a
There's no heat signature. There's no nuclear power plant. There's no rockets. There's no jets. Where are they getting the energy? So no one asks this question. So one of the very first things I do, like if I'm in a skiff, a secure compartmented information facility, which is where top secret information is exchanged, I will say, see how that thing's moving? That's an alternative energy and propulsion system, which means we haven't needed oil, gas, coal, nuclear, wind, solar, Tesla battery cars, or surface roads since before I was born. I was born in 1955.
Yeah.
We mastered gravity control and what's called 0 point free energy by 1954. Now the problem is transitioning from a industrial society from the 1800s, which is what we're living in. We're still burning oil. I mean, okay, nuclear is mid-40s, would be. That's 80 years old, 81. To move from where we are now, where we're stuck, and where 3 billion people on Earth don't even have fuel to cook their food, into a true high-tech society is the biggest transition facing humanity. And there is a cabal of criminal people who have kept this secret up to and including assassinations. And this includes the assassinations of government officials. And I've had 4 people on my team assassinated. Wow. So it's serious stuff, Tyrus. So, but
all right, listen, he just said he had 4 people on his team were assassinated. What are their names? Can we see the police reports and the murder investigation reports from the police? Can we see the media reports of 4 people that worked for you being murdered? There would be news reports, you lying scumbag, if 4 people that worked for you were murdered. He just said that 4 people on his team were murdered, were assassinated. He's just a big bag of lies. Come on, Tyrus. I'm trying to be as fair with this interviewer as possible. He just said, Tyrus, that 4 people on his team were murdered. Doesn't that? He just said, "Wow, yeah, wow, yeah, that's a big story." Do you have any evidence that 4 people on your team were murdered? Do you have any proof that 4 people on your team were even died, let alone murdered? And before I'll find the clip. I can't right at the moment, but there's a clip where he said 2 people on his team were murdered. Now we're up to 4 people. You know, you can spot a liar because their lies get more and more grand. Originally, I have the clip somewhere and I'll find it. Originally, he said 2 people on his team were murdered. Now we're up to 4 people on his team were murdered. Tyrus isn't even listening. He probably didn't even pick this interview. His staff probably did. I agree. 4 people he won't name. Yeah, 4 people he won't name. Where are the police reports? Exactly. Come on, Tyrus. This guy just said, let's just review. He briefed all the sitting U.S. presidents. He briefed a CIA director, a DIA director. A general offered him $2 billion to join his team and stop talking about aliens. Now he said that 4 people that work for him were murdered. You know, it's getting a little deep in here, Tyrus. Like this is some grade A bullshit. And he has no proof for any of this because he is a bullshitter.
What we're looking at, that's one of the purposes of the secrecy. The other one is to stage false alien events so that people will be afraid of them. Because eventually, you ever seen the movie Independence Day with Will?
I finally just realized there's one way that we could fact check this. I have to find both the residences. I think he has a residence in Washington, D.C. and a residence in Virginia somewhere where he lives and where his businesses are registered. Let me ask a question to the live chat because this is very important. If 4 people that worked for you were murdered, wouldn't you go to the police and fill out a police report about 4 people working for you being murdered? How much do you want to bet if I go to both of his known residences and go to the local, and I'll even go to the state police and the nearest FBI offices to him, that there will be no reports of anybody that worked for him being murdered. This is absolutely the fact that this guy gets on these big shows and big podcasts, Danica Patrick and all this stuff, right? I can't recall who else. The fact that he gets on these big, huge YouTube shows and says something so absolutely ridiculous, like 4 people that worked for me were murdered, without showing any proof whatsoever, any evidence whatsoever. If 4 people that worked for one guy anywhere were murdered, there would be police reports, there would be media reports, there would be news reports. There would be some proof or evidence that this actually happened. And how much do you want to bet, just like the briefings? Did you know he backed off the briefing claims for a while because I felted him? I showed letters from all the presidential libraries detailing there was no mention of him giving briefings to these presidents that he claimed that he gave. And then he backed off and he said, well, I sent them briefings. Now he's right back to the bigger lie. Oh, I briefed all the presidents. Sure you did, scammy, grifter Greer. Come on, man. You said 4 people that work for you got murdered. I'm going to go. I'll do it. And, I'm tired of the amount of, this is Brandolini's law, which basically states that the amount of energy required to dispel bullshit is orders of magnitude more than it takes to create it. All Greer has to do is go on a podcast like Planet Tyrus here that isn't even going to fact check him on anything, no matter how sensational. Like, come on, Planet Tyrus. Don't you have people that work for you? How sensational is the claim? Oh, 4 people that work for me were murdered. You didn't stop them and ask them for evidence of that? Nobody on your team thought, well, this is too much. This guy's saying 4 people that worked for him got murdered. But I'll do it. I'll go. We'll go to local municipalities where both his residences are. Of course, he'll have some excuse. Well, they don't live near me. Well, you didn't go to the police in your local jurisdiction? Didn't they work for you and you live in that jurisdiction? There's always some excuse, right? There's always some way for him to weasel out of the lie, right? Solar Marshall says, Stephen Greer is not a fucking doctor. Show me his license to practice medicine in the U.S. Well, he says he's a retired doctor. I think I'm going to dig into that too. I know somebody who basically found out, or claims they found out, that he wasn't an emergency room doctor. He was a podiatrist, a foot doctor. There was a Stephen Greer registered in his state that was a podiatrist around the time he claimed to be a doctor. But there's a big jump from podiatrist to an ER doctor, right? He sues people who criticize him. They all do. Yeah, well, that's one of those things. I will commit that I'll do the research about the 4 people that got murdered. We'll drill down on that, right? Yeah, he probably was a proctologist because he loves to work on assholes. All right, let's continue. I don't know how much more of these lies I could take. We're not even halfway through. Like, think about how many times he lied in this so far. I briefed presidents. I briefed Bill Clinton's CIA director. I briefed the DIA director. 4 people on my team got murdered. Oh, and me and Billy Gibbons went on a secret mission to an alien underground base where we saw limbs regrown. Come on, man.
Of course, yeah.
Okay. That was CIA scripting. So there's a psychological warfare division at CIA that pushes out narratives that are all hoaxed. Alien abductions, mutilations, scary stuff, scary movies. That is a PSYOP, psychological warfare operation, designed to eventually present and disclose this subject in a way that would unite the world around a totalitarian, a sort of global entity based on humans on this planet fighting people from other planets. It's bullshit. It's a complete false flag hoax. Werner von Braun, who invented the rocket for Adolf Hitler, on his deathbed, he was brought over Operation Paperclip to be part of our aerospace industry. And of course, my uncle.
We're going to get the Werner Braun lies, which is a third-party, second-hand, third-hand story. And by the way, Solar Marshall is here. I have a really disgusting story he did to someone in ufology where he totally ruined the guy's life for his own personal gains. Yeah, but that's his story to tell. I heard you, I saw before the show began earlier in the live chat, you mentioned who that was. That's really his story to tell. I mean, whenever that person is ready to tell the story, I'd love to share it with my audience. Can you imagine walking in and seeing Greer for the first time as your doc, fright of your life? Greer duping Tyrus, and even especially the indomitable Alex Jones. Yeah, he gets on Alex Jones with this level of bullshit too. And by the way, if you heard one interview from him, you've heard almost all of them, because he just repeats the same stories ad nauseum. But sometimes the stories get bigger, you know, like when he first started claiming that members of his team were assassinated, it was 2 people. Now it's 4 people all of a sudden. Isn't that interesting? Maybe 2 more people since the first time he claimed it. Come on, man. And if you had 4 people that worked for you that got murdered, I don't know, make some police reports where you live about that, because your life is probably, if 4 people that worked for you got murdered, then your life is in danger too, and so is the lives of everybody that works for you. You would fill out some police reports. We're going to find out if there's any police reports. I'm calling Grifter Greer's bluff on him saying 4 people that work for him got murdered. You know why? Because it's bullshit.
Well, all those geniuses worked with him.
Oh, and Brandolini's law. The amount of effort required to dispel bullshit is orders of magnitude more than it takes to create it. All he has to do is go on a show and say things. I'm going to have to spend a week writing letters, making phone calls to try to dispel this bullshit. But I'm going to do it because I'm tired of this clown. And you know what else I'm tired of? Fake copyright claims. Guy's making millions of dollars. He's coming after me, after my $27 in ad revenue, because he's a scammer and a scumball and a greedy bitch.
On his deathbed, and the woman who was his...
How dare you use my video to prove that I'm lying? Well, how else am I supposed to... I got to show people what you said. It's fair use, you asshole.
Right-hand assistant is still living. I just spoke to her last night. She was like 81.
This clown.
She was a young, genius woman, first executive in aerospace industry, Carol Rosin. And he said, we're going, and this is 1974, 52 years ago. He says, we're going to hoax a threat from outer space so that we can unite the world around this sort of totalitarianism. But it's going to take decades to brainwash the populace. So almost everything you see in the media on this in Hollywood is part of a psyop. Not all of it, but I'd say 90+%. 80 to 90% of all the UFOs people are seeing are clandestine black off book. In other words, there's a black budget in the United States. I want your listeners to listen carefully. The president, the Gang of 8 are read into black, or what are called unacknowledged special access projects that are deep black, very few people. Those are legal because the president and the key people know. I'm talking about projects that are illegal, that are embezzling money. They have teams called wet works teams that assassinate people. Now I have gathered all
more people getting assassinated. Awesome.
That information. I've turned it over to, I won't say which entity, U.S. federal law enforcement. And there is serious RICO, racketeering influence corrupt organization.
So he's turned over all this evidence to federal law enforcement. That would be the FBI. That would mean it would be FOIAble. So if I file a FOIA, am I going to find anything about you? Or you forwarding evidence to people? This is another smoke and mirrors bullshit smokescreen story that's built on nothing, because he thinks nobody can check. You just said you sent it to federal law enforcement.
Investigations going on, and particularly the ones that have been involved in using the UFOs in child trafficking, human trafficking, where they've committed wet works, targeted killings of U.S. citizens who are leaking information. So this is all now at a very high federal level. It's on the desk of the president, but it kind of superficially at this stage. But there's a deeper part of Congress that I've been briefing and certain members.
Or something. I hope you don't mind. I mean, it is fair use, but I put your link in my description to your X. And thanks for what you said. It kind of rounded out tonight's show. Go follow Venus Miranda on Twitter. The link is in the description of this video or podcast. As
well as people in law enforcement and national security who now know what this is, and they're having frankly an oh shit moment. because they're realizing all this is true, but there's an entity, an organization that has technology
That's my
5,000 years more advanced
Bullshittery.
than the B-2 stealth that is off the reservation.
All right, good. I'm glad.
So there's so much that could good that could come from disclosing this, but the charlatans that are trying to make this, see, I invented the whole movement of disclosure back in the 90s. Now it's been hijacked by people who are trying to turn it towards exactly what Werner von Braun warned about.
Now he's going to attack all of his grifter competition. He doesn't like everybody else grifting off of disclosure. Only he's allowed to grift off of disclosure. And by the way, for 80 years now, even people in the early 50s contactee movement were promising disclosure. He did not invent disclosure. It's not his concept. He picked it up and ran with it because there was money there, because he's a scumbag grifter.
It's this threat from outer space. And you'll notice in a lot of those exposés being done, like this recent film that came out, I call it Age of Deception, Age of Disclosure. They leave out the fact, most of these things you're seeing aren't alien, they're ours. And Ben Rich of the Lockheed Skunk Works,
I agree,
told us this before he died. The president of the Skunk Works.
6 people.
And but you push this too far out on major media, you get canceled. You talk about cancel culture. A friend of mine, Sean Ryan, I was on his show, and I brought one of my whistleblowers on after I was on a couple of times, and those got to such huge ratings. He and his whole family and staff were threatened, and now I'm blacklisted. Same thing happened with Joe Rogan. I was on his show. Boom. They said, you want to get $100 million from Spotify? You can't have Dr. Greer on again.
No, that's not what happened, Tyrus.
People are naive about how the world runs.
That's not what happened, Tyrus.
Yeah, I would agree.
Joe Rogan on the record has said that he realized after he interviewed him that Greer was so totally full of shit that in a very rare instance he pulled the interview down because he didn't want to platform this guy who was so totally full of shit.
To a certain extent.
Greer says that he was threatened to take it down. No, he wasn't.
I think they've accomplished that goal because
yes,
we now we've had people come out and talk, even the circle cubes, even talking about as extraterrestrial or UFOs or the other. I don't like to use the other term.
UAP,
flying device, whatever the hell it is.
UAPs, yeah.
UAP or what? Yeah, no, yeah. I'm not. I refuse. But but when information started coming out, the general, there wasn't even. It was almost kind of like, and then Scripe. Everyone just kind of. I'm like, here they are admitting that there's things that we don't know. And again, take it for what it's worth. But I was shocked at the overall underwhelming reaction of the American public. It was just kind of like, and I said, well, it's the tablet.
Yeah.
It's like the distractions from any big story or anything that is life changing or information that I think of this information.
Because there was no evidence. And once again, just like always for the past 80 years, there was no evidence. There's just people telling stories. And the major push behind those congressional hearings was David Grush, who first came out with his story June 5th, 2023. And we now know that it's been 1,004 days since Grush made his initial claims, and he still has yet to provide a single shred of proof. That's almost 3 years, Tyrus. 3 years he couldn't provide any proof of anything he said. Even after working for Rep. Burleson and getting paid to hunt the space monsters, he couldn't show any proof of the space monsters.
When it came out in the 80s and 90s, I think we would have had an embracement by the American people. I think you would have had telescopes going up everywhere and people wanting to research and wow, this, that, whatever. And I didn't think of it that way, but it just fell flat. And I was like, I found it very disappointing that there wasn't more of a general thirst of like knowledge, because when people want to know things, there's a pressure kind of put on, like asking your local politics. We want to know about this. We want to know about that. Explain this.
Yeah.
And it just didn't seem to materialize. You think that's an accurate description on my part?
Yeah, but that's the result of 70 years of science.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
In other words, I know I'm friends with a man who worked closely with the gentleman who founded the National Enquirer. That man had been an MIT graduate, worked for CIA psychological warfare operations, spun off the National Enquirer, and that's where they would put, instead of these credible stories and evidence, which I have a plethora of, being in the New York Times,
National Enquirer is the inventor of clickbait, basically, before the internet.
Washington Post, they would direct it to the National Enquirer, where because of the tabloid nature of it, you know, a three-headed alien has sex with Hillary Clinton or some nonsense.
Right.
That would discredit it. And by discrediting it, academia and the general,
the National Enquirer were at least better than your fake stories.
lamestream media would just write it off. And that's the way it still is. So, I mean, this was done deliberately. It was neutralized through psychological warfare operations. And also, I will say, on this subject, so many of the people out there are either just kooks, nut jobs, charlatans, whatever. And there's a handful of serious researchers. Now, the most encouraging thing I see happening is not stuff that is on the internet or news right now. It's this. I head up a team that have been Green Berets and military that have separated from the military that approached me.
He's heading a military team now.
Some years ago and said, look, we've been asked to work with you to get all this evidence and find out where are all the black sites. Right? Where's all this stuff kept?
Can you name any of the Green Berets so we can verify they're actually Green Berets? Come on, man. It's getting so deep in here. So deep in here. Anime Chris with another one for the goal. Anime Chris says, I invented disclosure. I literally entered a time warp in space and time and trademarked it over a century ago in every country. Suffer Greer. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and big support of the show. Anime Chris is a big supporter of the show and a YouTube channel member. Hey, did you know if you join our channel during a live broadcast, just click that join button like Anime Chris already did. I give you a big shout out and thank you. Also, if you become a subscriber over on Kick, I give you a big shout out and thank you. So big shout out and thank you to Anime Chris for your kindness, generosity, and continued support of the show. It is much, much appreciated. And then, of course, we have Northern Nothing RYTV just became a subscriber over on Kick. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support of the show. Let's get some subs over on Kick. Let's get some new members on our YouTube channel, and let's get some gifted memberships and gifted subs on both Kick and YouTube. I'll be checking in with the PayPal pledges and with the Buy Me a Coffee as well. We're a viewer-supported show, and instructions for how to support our show are in the description of this video or podcast. We appreciate all of you guys that are supporting the show. Much, much appreciated. Okay. I don't know how much more of this, like let's do this. I'm going to go halfway. And if I have time from the cabin, since this interview really is a perfect example of Stephen Greer lying through his teeth for an hour straight, right? 2-minute warning. Oh, we're not going to hit the goal tonight then. Where are we at? I haven't checked in for a while. Let's see. We have... Yeah, we only made it to 9 of 20. Wow. But if we get at least to halfway there, I will show you the spooky graphic of Mexi Greer, right? Yes, let's get Mexi Greer. All right, I think we got it. At least we got Mexi Greer. Storm Crow with one for the goal, getting us halfway to the goal. And as we promised, we will show you Mexi Greer. All right. I have me echoing. Okay, I got it. Oh, maybe no, I didn't. Yeah. Do you ever have too many tabs open? That's basically the way my brain is at all times. Yes, we thank you, Stormcrow, who's a longtime show supporter. He's the biggest fan of David Wilcock too, right? He's the biggest fan of David Wilcock. Thank you, Stormcrow, for your kindness, generosity, and big support tonight, getting us to the Mexi Greer goal. Solar Marshall says Greer's so-called whistleblowers are always frauds when you look into them. DC Ling was a total fraud. Mike Herrera was a total fraud, gutted by the guys he was in the Marines with. Yes, we mentioned that earlier. Right? He's got fake whistleblowers. Real whistleblowers have evidence, and they don't go to somebody like Stephen Greer, a 3 decades long alien scammer grifter, always out for money, to tell their stories. They go to somebody credible. They would go to CNN or MSNBC or the New York Times. They wouldn't go to a guy who basically, tells people that he was offered billions of dollars and 4 people on his team were murdered. And an entire company was murdered in Michigan because they were investigating free energy, right? And by the way, there's an excellent free documentary in our documentary section about Third Phase of Moon and Greer, and Solar Marshall's in it. We start yelling and screaming at the Third Phase of Loon boys for not fact checking Greer. It's hysterical. It is hysterical, right? If we have time, maybe I'll play a clip from that. Let me get back to my Kick support page. I thought that was what was echoing, but it turns out it was something else. So if we get any more support, I will call it out on either Kick or on Truth Seekers. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. Yeah, like I said, Solar Marshall, that's his story to tell, and I don't really think he wants you spilling the tea. I keep meaning, by the way, to ask that person that Solar Marshall is talking about Greer fucked over what happened there, because I warned him. Solar Marshall warned him. I'm pretty sure Jeremy Rise, alien scientist, warned him, but this guy went to work for Greer anyway, right? It's just one of those things, though. Basically stole the guy's life's work, and, maybe someday we'll get to hear that story. I hope we will. So we're going to try to get up to, we're going to go halfway. And then if I have time this weekend at the cabin, we're going to finish this, because this is a perfect example of Greer just lying and lying and lying and lying.
And that, last night I was on a TV network show with Congressman Burleson about this, about the object that, this huge object that they can't recover because it went down. We downed it with an electromagnetic pulse weapon, and it sits there outside.
If somebody really had real evidence, they wouldn't go to this.
Korea. And he's trying to get in there.
Free
but what I've handed off to him and House Oversight and Senate Intelligence and Armed Services, as well as the FBI director and the White House, and some of it's in here, and it's on our site, and we have 150 some black sites where we can drop a pin where the guys who are Delta Force and Green Beret guys and Special Forces have operated, and where these craft are stored, where the reverse engineering is going on, where the test ranges are. I've been to them. So this is now moving at a very high level, but a very deep level. So I'm encouraged. I'm not so encouraged by what happens on the media, because the media needs its own briefing. But what's happening in a sort of covert way is, like in 30 years, Tyrus, I've never seen anything like this. I mean, it's very encouraging. So I would be encouraged by that. Yeah.
Now, speaking of encouraging, want to shift gears a little bit.
Sure.
I am so intrigued with the CE5 concept, human-initiated peaceful contact. Can you take us through that?
Sure. So, it was funny. I sort of try to tell this in the way of a storytelling. Back to when I was a young guy, when I briefed
hundreds of porta-potties on the surface. I'm going to play that. He
wasn't, frankly, all that bright, but his wife was.
Listen, the goal for tonight, I was going to play the porta-potty, which is my favorite of Greer's fake story. We didn't hit the goal tonight, but I will still go through. We'll play the clip of me and Solar Marshall yelling at Third Phase of Moon for making a movie with this grifter and not fact-checking him on anything. And in that clip, it's really telling. Third Phase of Moon says, well, he wouldn't do the documentary with us if we fact-check the things that he says are true. That tells you a lot about the UFO industry. Like, we can't fact-check him, then he won't do the project with us. Yeah, I'm trying my best. I really am going to try to have a weekend at the cabin. Let's try to get a few more minutes of this in, and then we'll finish things up here for the night.
His wife was there, and she was the chief operating officer at the National Academy of Sciences. Very, very smart lady. And at one point, she goes, well, how are they communicating across the vastness of space? Because you know how you and I are communicating is the speed of light.
Right.
But if your star system, if you're from the Andromeda galaxy, which is 2.5 million light years from here, and that's one of the ETs we have a photograph of, at the speed of light, it would take 2.5 million years for them to say, hey, how you doing? And
Right.
another 2.5 million years
Get it back. Yeah, like I'm fine. Yes.
Yeah.
Here's going to give his speed of thought, bullshit, quantum explanation.
So, no, that ain't happening.
Yeah.
So any scientist worth a grain of salt would realize you have to move into faster than light speed beyond linear space-time. And this is where you get into what Einstein called the spooky effect, this quantum entanglement, where something can be in two places at once instantaneously. And it's almost like, so for communication, they're not using speed of light.
Sounds like quantum
they may have something that looks like
bullshito.
this, right? But it's going to be interfacing with directed thought. So you think to it, and boom, it happens. And I'm not talking what Elon's doing with Neuralink. I'm talking about wireless, where it's literally the quanta of thought. They're not just random thoughts about, you know, my pepperoni pizza. It's a state of coherent thought, and you think to it, and boom, it turns on. So what we're doing with CE5 Contact, now there's an app everyone can get from the App Store.
Third phase.
It takes you through this whole process.
What's the app called?
CE5 Contact.
CE5? Okay.
CE5 Contact. And it will take, it's actually a whole training course in going into what the CIA calls remote viewing, where you go into a quiet state of awareness where you can see with your consciousness remote places. This is called remote viewing. It's been done by the agency for decades and been proven in laboratories that it works if you're trained properly. At that point, if you see an object or sense one,
work if you're trained properly. Remote viewing has been determined by real scientists to be just about as accurate as guessing.
And it may be in sort of a meditative hypnagogic state, like you described, but not quite that dramatic. You can then send in a clear message of where you're located and vector them in. So instead of using a radar, they're using a system that interfaces technologically with the group's coherent
not reliably.
Thought. And that's what we're doing. And it really works. You know, I mean, I have a lot of people who go, oh, this is nonsense, can't work. I said, yeah, go do it. You know, actually learn the technique and do it. So now we have, I don't know, millions of people around the world that are doing that, because my intention is to say, all right, there's going to be all this. By the
way, just from a theological perspective, go ask any Catholic priest, go ask any Christian minister, go ask any Muslim imam, go ask a Buddhist, go ask somebody who is Hindu. Dr. Stephen Greer is basically encouraging people to open their mind, their hearts, and their souls and invite non-human entities in. Spiritually, that is incredibly dangerous. Who's coming in? Do you know? Evil spirits? Demons? You're just inviting any non-human entity into your soul? And I've heard a lot of people that can explain this much better than me, explain how dangerous from a spiritual and, you know, religious perspective this bullshit is. You're basically like, come on, non-human entities, come and play. Could be very dangerous.
Don't take my word for anything. I'm a like show me state kind of guy. Right. I tell people, here's the top secret witness testimonies who've worked in these SCIFs. Here are the photos. Here are the government documents. We have thousands of them on our
yeah, and many of the government documents that he pushes are completely and totally provably fake.
Archive. Go look at them.
And then draw your own.
And fake or not, he still puts them in the archive.
But if you want to do this, really go out and do it directly and see what happens. Now, a caveat here, because there are so many man-made UFOs that people get confused with, you really got to go through. That's why this book is really great, because what this does is called Disclosure and Illustrated History.
$1,500 to it.
And it literally shows you what a man-made one versus an ET one looks like and the distinguishing characteristics.
Okay.
And it's all based on top secret named people. None of these are anonymous.
Yes, Winter Soldier.
Remember, I've got 120 named whistleblowers, but another 650 clandestine ones that don't want their names out.
Yeah, 650
So
anonymous.
That's what the
Great.
CE5. And
Trust
when you
me,
do
bro,
this,
they're
and you're in
real
that state of
people.
consciousness, you
Well,
invite them. You don't
650
call
of
them in like they're butlers
When I
from
talk
Downton
to
Abbey.
them, we'll know they're
You
anonymous.
invite them to come in, and then you just see what happens. Now, the other caveat is the Earth is an armed camp. And what I haven't talked about yet, but I'm just going to open a vector into this very quickly. Beginning in the mid to late 40s, we developed directional energy weapons.
How much
it's
of that
not a
money
recent
did he
thing.
get, Solar Mark?
Nikola Tesla described something called scalar waves.
Knowing Greer, he still
Scalar are,
he still
instead
owes
of
that
a
guy
wave
money.
of light being like this, like
Greer's
a sine
famous
wave,
for not
at the
paying
speed of light through the
He
vacuum.
gets free lawyers to
A
sue people.
scalar signal is a point that goes out in a line, longitudinal, and it's faster than the speed of light. When we detonated the first atomic bomb, there was an electromagnetic pulse. Everybody knows that.
All
What
right.
people don't know about.
40 minutes in, so I got to sort of make a mental note. We made it 40 minutes into this, and it is 1 hour, 12 minutes. So we've got 32 minutes remaining, which means the second half could be much shorter, which I will try to do this weekend from the cabin. But before we do that, let me 1 minute here. Let me do the proper show host thing and promote a few things, because we've got quite an exciting weekend planned for this weekend, and I'm going to promote series this weekend. And this new series, I really think, and I'm not one to toot my own horn, but I think the research aspect of this first episode of this new series, they're about 40 minutes long. Each episode will be 40 minutes long. The series is called UFO Land, and the first episode is 80 years of broken promises for evidence and 80 years of broken promises for disclosure is coming. And I detail everything from Roswell forward, and it is the most data-driven, information-rich video that I have ever made. It was kind of a nightmare to put this thing together. I did an awful lot of writing and scripting and editing and redoing. This is going to debut March 7th at 3 p.m. And so March 7th is this coming Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern. We don't usually do a premiere early, but this is only like 35 minutes. So I figured we would sneak it in. And then we have another excellent thing for this weekend so far, and that is David Wilcock Exposed. This is a 12-hour just ripping David Wilcock to shreds. We rip his fake aerospace company to shreds, his charity to shreds. We rip his claims of me getting him swatted to shreds, his claims that I'm under criminal investigation get ripped to shreds, his claims that I stole money from his bank account, we rip to shreds. It is just, if you don't like David Wilcock, you will love this, because we rip him apart. In in a good way. These kind of clowns should be exposed. So this Saturday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, David Wilcock Exposed. His whole life is a scam. Fakery, fraud, and lies. All right, so I've promoted that. And also tomorrow night at 7 p.m., I don't have it uploaded yet. Tomorrow night we're doing a True Seekers Classic, which is an entire history of fake UFO whistleblowers and all of their false promises. I mentioned this free documentary also, which is called Third Phase of Fake. If you go to our main channel, just scroll all the way down to the free documentary section. There's this, and I think there's 8 free documentaries in our free documentary section. So this is me and Solar Marshall confronting the Third Phase of Moon Boys for making a documentary where they just let Greer lie through the whole documentary. Third phase of fake. Here's where it starts.
You're the one that made a documentary, you dumbass, saying that some guy went on a secret mission with a guy from ZZ Top. It was your responsibility to check into it, you dumbass.
I didn't say that. That was Dr. Greer. It came out of his mouth.
You didn't fact check him. You made the documentary.
So we're supposed to
And then
fact
Rich
check
from Groupon backed you up. Well, Stephen Greer wouldn't have done the documentary if they fact checked everything he said. So I guess you just make videos with liars because you don't want to fact check anybody.
I thought
He said he went on a secret mission with Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top, you asshole. And you put it in a documentary and you didn't check with Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top. I got to do that for you? You stole a video from somebody without permission, and it was a light on a tree. You hyped it up like it was aliens. That's what you do. It's garbage.
Can I ask Stephen? What language should we say? What can give me
I just don't respect what you do because you shovel so much garbage, fake shit into conversation.
We don't.
5 years you put out videos claiming people were sending them to you. People have proven they were all taken from the same camera. All over Hawaii.
Yeah, this is funny. So, third phase of Moon, which is the biggest UFO hoax channel on YouTube, there was 10 hoaxed fake videos, all filmed within 2 miles of their house. And we proved that. We geolocated the locations of each of these UFO sightings. And what you see, the blue pins are the UFO sightings and where they were. And the black pin is, I believe the yellow pin is their house. So it just so happens that these guys that have a UFO channel, people they claim sent them UFO videos that all just happened to be all within 2 miles of their house. And all 10 of the videos we proved conclusively with science were filmed from the same video camera. So this is the level of fakery that these guys, it's just so childish and stupid.
Brent, what a coincidence.
You guys don't remember when you had the alien hanging under the bumper of the car, for God's sake?
Once we did.
Goofon has told me you guys have changed, and I've watched you guys. You have changed, but I still think you go back to the bullshit if you have to.
Yeah.
We're looking at this a lot more specifically in what kind of content we put out. This is we've been talking about this for a long time.
You keep saying that, but then you put out a documentary with Stephen Greer saying that an entire engineering firm got murdered over a free energy device in a certain state. Anybody can look at public records and see that it wasn't a mass murder of an entire company in that state. And you didn't do that. You just put that out. That's
It wasn't a massive office shooting. It wasn't like an office shooting like you're claiming.
He said that all but one person in the entire company got murdered.
And you're acting like it's an office shooting, like somebody came in and murdered them all at the same time. That's what you're insinuating.
So now we get the back, you backpedal, and now we have an explanation.
Well, I don't know.
Third phase of Moon just let Stephen Greer lie and tell porkies and big sensational stories with no evidence through an entire thing the film that they called a documentary. That's not a documentary. That's propaganda for retards.
Explanation should have been in the documentary. You should have asked Stephen Greer what was the name of the company, looked it up, and found out if anybody from that company got murdered. You did. You just let him shovel garbage, fake information into the community. Because you filled your pockets with that Greer money. Good for you. If that's the goal that you have, congratulations. You make money very well shoveling garbage into the UFO community. And listen, I know we've talked on the phone, and I felt differently after we talked on the phone. Because I fell for the we're trying to change. That was before the Greer documentary. Then I saw that garbage documentary and thought, no, you didn't change. Because if you changed, you wouldn't have put this garbage into the community. It was garbage. And I'll tell you this, it was extremely well filmed, great music, incredible editing, very artistic, but the information in it was garbage. All the information in it was telling. This latest Greer documentary with them, I paid $15. You owe me $13 too. I paid $13 for that.
You still never give me my money back.
If I ever see you, I'm going to shake you. I'm going to turn you both upside down and shake you until I get my $13 back for that garbage film.
Greetings and salutations. This is a film about third phase of Moon.
That's enough
a
of
YouTube
that. So this is 2 hours and 15 minutes of me felting Third Phase of Moon. Yeah, they owe me $13. I told them I want my money back because their film was garbage. They've never given me my $13. And until they will give me my $13 back, I will say that they're the biggest UFO hoaxer scumbags on planet Earth. Those guys are garbage peddling scumbags. And listen, if Greer was on the level, he wouldn't. Why would a guy who really has real information work with the biggest hoax UFO channel on YouTube? Everybody knows they're the biggest UFO hoax channel on YouTube. Red Panda Koala is here. Thank you, Red Panda Koala, with one for the goal. The goal expired, but we'll take you $10. Red Panda Koala says, disappointing to hear Greer abuses copyright like Lou. You see that comment that he copyrighted TED footage from a public UFO congressional hearing. No shame. Yeah, this guy is copyright claiming like videos that's from a public congressional UFO hearing. He doesn't own that. All the taxpayers own it. Anybody can take a taxpayer-funded video like a congressional hearing and use it on their YouTube channel free and clear. He has no right to copyright claim anybody. This alone proves he is a copyright-claiming scumbag. He is a scumbag. And I'm hearing, since I've posted that on Twitter, I must have heard from a bunch of other people that have been falsely copyright claimed by him. He's running around trying to steal everybody's 27 YouTube dollars for, like he really needs the money. Mr. $1 Million Mansion, couple of them from what I hear, right? Guys charging people, what is it, $7,000 to go have dinner with him, but he needs my $27 in YouTube. By the way, thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. Red Panda Koala. Yes, he's a copyright claiming scumbag. So we've done our due diligence for tonight, but we didn't hit the goal. But I'm still going to leave you with my favorite Dr. Stephen Greer story. And this is where we get into consumer fraud again, because Dr. Stephen Greer took money from paying customers, and then I'm going to show you the stories that he gave people who paid big bucks to go to this big event that he held are so stupid, so childish, and so ridiculous that only somebody that's retarded would believe them. Because Stephen Greer wants you to believe that there's a top secret government base, and it's so top secret, but they let everybody park their cars on the surface. And then there's all these porta-potties, because apparently the government's biggest, best alien top secret crash retrieval reverse engineering base, they don't got bathrooms they have no bathrooms at the top secret base. So they have porta potties, a whole row of porta potties. And he actually paid an illustrator to make illustrations of this top secret base. And it's just so ridiculous. It's so stupid. And I argue in this comedic piece, if you had a top secret underground base, you're not going to line up hundreds of cars on the surface and then a huge line of porta potties, because all our adversaries have satellites. They could pick that off in a minute. Stephen Greer's stories are so ridiculous, so stupid, and so childish. This is the perfect example. And to this day, it's still my favorite Stephen Greer story. And that is Stephen Greer's top secret porta potty base. I'm going to play us out with that. The porta potty video always makes me laugh out loud. It's some of my best work. I wish he would give me more stories like this that were this funny, because, sometimes you just have to laugh at these clowns. And the people that would pay, listen, if you're fucking retarded enough to pay him $7,000 to go to one of his events, anybody who's stupid enough to give him any money, just look at this. Or anybody that's stupid enough to platform him. By the way, Tyrus, you didn't ask him about the top secret porta potty base? Come on, Tyrus. It's disappointing. And by the way, I have family that are, pro wrestlers and deeply involved in wrestling. So it was disappointing to see this Tyrus just glaze this guy. He literally said that 4 people on his team that work for him got murdered. No follow-up question. No ask for, didn't ask for any evidence of that. It's an awfully big claim. 4 people that worked for him got murdered. I mean, that one's a pretty big bullshit claim to make. But my favorite of the bullshit claims that he's made are the secret, the Stephen Greer's Porta-potty secret base. So I'm going to play us out with that. We've got a big weekend of premieres planned for this weekend. Just check our video section, and I will try to be here from the cabin. And if I can, I'm going to move some things around and try to do the other half of this video because of this interview, because this is the perfect example of Stephen Greer lying through his teeth. You know, why does, if he wants people to know the truth, why does CE5 cost anything? Yeah, it's really ridiculous. When's the next panel show? Well, oh, I forgot. Mexican Stephen Greer. Did you send it to me, Spooky? We're going to close out with that. Yes, Spooky did send it to me. We promised you Mexican Stephen Greer, and we're going to give it to you. Ha ha. Oh, man. Ha ha. Oh, man. Mexican Stephen Greer. Hola, soy Stephen Greer. Yeah, it's pretty good, Spooky. Pretty good, right? Him and Jaime Maussan are scamming the Mexicans for fake stories about booga spears, right? I would love to see the second half of this roast. I'm going to do it. I just have to find the time to do it. I have a whole bunch of premieres planned, but I can bump one of the premieres to like Sunday or Monday. That might be a good idea to do. Not bad for 10 minutes work. Yes, there's Mexi Greer right there. Stephen Greer is right now scamming stupid Mexicans with idiot Jaime Maussan, the biggest hoax promoter in Mexico, right? Mex is going to give it to you. Yes, that is correct. So there you go. Yes, for half the goal. Oh, and I got to do the good show hosting and remind you, please, if you enjoyed tonight's broadcast and you have not already especially, please smash that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. It's a huge boost to our channel. And you'll always know when we're doing a live show like this with our interactive live chat. You are most welcome. And if you're listening in audio podcast land, we love and appreciate you, but you're missing the party. Go on over to YouTube, put Truth Seekers, one word in the search bar. Look for me, the strange guy with sunglasses. Go there, smash the subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and come and be a part of our live tapings for the podcast. You are most welcome. Yes, and Arlene is reminding everybody we're a viewer-supported show. We call out everybody that supports us. And also, you can go and search YouTube for Truth Seekers clips. We're trying to get the watch time up. I just posted 4 new clips this week. Please go and watch some of the clips videos. In fact, the clip we're going to end tonight with is on the clips channel as well. So this will give you a good sample of the kind of everybody wanted short form videos from me. And for years I said, I just don't do short form. But then we started compressing things down and just making short, funny videos, the funniest bits from a show. This clip we're going to end tonight's show with is just a clip from one of the live shows with a little bit more production added. So I'm hoping it's supposed to be icy rain tonight at the cabin, and that could be a problem for me getting in and out safely. For those unaware, my cabin is a bit back in the woods, and getting off the highway and on the main road of the town my cabin is in is no problem. But then it's a few miles back in the woods on a dirt road, and if the weather is really bad, I don't have 4-wheel drive. In fact, all I have is traction control, which is worthless. It doesn't do anything. It's never helped. And, I can't get stuck at the cabin. I do have AAA that could drag me to the main road if I really have a problem. But I have been a little too confident in the past, and I wiped out and went into a ditch on the side of the road because the dirt road was all snowy and icy. And I can't really risk that. I got to get home to my family safe. So I only go to the cabin when I'm sure I'm going to be able to get in and get out safely. I'm going to check in with my neighbor tomorrow and see how the roads look. But I'm hopeful we're going to get some cabin time in. Oh, my God. Lights timed out. Well, we're going to wrap things up here, so it's quite all right. The Cabin in Their Woods. There's a movie called that. Well, if you're a member, you could see some of my cabin adventures in the members-only section there, right? You need to sell some fake UFO stories and buy a new truck. I agree. I agree. I've been trying to save the money for a truck for years, but you know, being a working father, 2 boys, house, kids, you know, bills, coming up with, I don't want to take a payment. I do everything I can to avoid adding a payment to my monthly bill schedule. So, yeah. M. Ren Filade. I wonder if you give free license to clip channels, you might get more exposure. We believe in fair use. If anybody can clip anything on my show, all we ask is that you put in the video description or put on the screen somewhere how people can find us. Give a link back to our channel. We have a clip channel of our own. It's just hard to do it solo. Yeah, I'm running the show. I'm doing everything but the thumbnails is done by me here. So having the time to make clips every week is a challenge, but we're trying our best to get that going. And by the way, somebody asked me about the monetization requirements for the Clips channel. And I think we're halfway there. You need 4,000 hours of watch time in a certain time period, and we're up to 2,000. So if you just go watch 2,000 hours worth of clips, we could get that monetized and give Spooky a pretty good part-time job, because Spooky's the best clip producer that I know. And Spooky will just take over the Clips channel and just make clips while I concentrate on the live show and booking the guests and research and, you know, editing for the main show. Spooky will transition to just producing clip after clip of great quality content. People like that compressed down version, and I understand that, but it's difficult when you're already busy doing so many other things, right? Yeah, fair attribution, that's the way to do it. Yeah, we've always been like that, right? Yeah, John says start with 12 hours destroying Wilcock. Yeah, well, I got to edit those deep dives together too, right? All right, so we've done our due diligence. I'm going to bounce on out of here, but I'm leaving you with something from our Clips channel, actually, which is my favorite Dr. Stephen Greer story ever, and that is the top secret porta-potty base. So we've done our due diligence. I want to thank you, kind and generous benefactors, you Patreon supporters. I just uploaded a new Patreon video. You channel members, just uploaded a new channel member video. You Kick subscribers, you people gifting subs, you people gifting Truth Seekers memberships, PayPal pledgers, and people buying me a beer. Instructions on how to help and support the show, where viewer-supported show, is in the description of the video. And we love and appreciate all of you supporters. So that's all I got for you for now, friends. Until next time, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless all of you.
He also was read into and had the chief scientist show him the location, which...
This is another thing. There's these illustrations in this thing, and you see that thing in the background? I think those are porta potties. I'm not sure, but I think they're porta potties. And according to these illustrations, there's these secret underground bases that are big enough for like hundreds of people to work in. And apparently they're so secret that the government just lets everybody park their car right outside the secret base. And listen, if you got to take a dump, there's porta potties. There's porta potties outside the secret underground bases. So if you got to, listen, sometimes maybe you just got to, you're driving to work, you got to take a big dump. And maybe they don't have bathrooms in the underground secret alien bases where they're working on the alien spacecraft. They have such technology that they can back engineer alien spacecraft, but they can't figure out how to put a bathroom in that bitch underground. Instead, they got porta potties all along the back row. And this base is ultra top secret. It is housing the most secret things on planet Earth. The greatest secrets of the United States shadow cabal, you know, black budget government, you know, the deep state. It's the most secret base of the deep state. But we're going to put a row of like all these porta potties out there, and we're just going to let everybody park their cars right outside where you go into the secret base. And listen, they would not do that. There's Russian satellites that would pick this up in a minute. In a minute! There's Chinese satellites that would pick this up in a minute. You don't put an underground base somewhere and then just let hundreds of people come to work and park right outside in a row and then put porta potties in case people have to take a shit. Oh my God, this is so stupid. What am I doing here?
We now have a deep underground military base
serious stuff.
That is in the Dugway sector, so-called Avery sector, Avery.
All right, and that's another thing. He said it's in the Dugway Proving Grounds, so we can look on satellite maps. And as ridiculous as it sounds, I went looking for big rows of cars and porta potties out by the Dugway Proving Grounds, and I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find shit. So is this fake? Well, this is another anonymous source. And if you look at the logic and the ridiculousness of this whole thing, I think you might agree that this is probably a tall tale. And by the way, there's more illustrations with the porta potties and the cars, I think.
Has huge capacity for parking. You go in, and there's a vast underground complex in that location. That location has been handed off to investigators.
And here's the thing, if there's huge capacity for parking, why is everybody parking their car on the surface then? This makes no sense. This is a total contradiction.
With the U.S. government. Next. This gives an illustration of the size of this. You can put easily on the platform that goes down the Air Force One. It's a very large elevator goes down.
I told you. Okay, so this location has been handed off, according to Greer, with investigators with the U.S. government. Which investigators? Which department is investigating this? Can we have their names? Oh, of course not. But what we can get is, see, there's the entrance to the underground base. Looks like a little shed there next to the porta shitters. I'm sorry, I can't get over the porta potties. Why would you just have a parking lot outside a deep underground military base where everybody can park and shit? Like, this doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I'm sorry. There are underground bases, but they don't look like this on the surface. The point of an underground base is two things. Usually bunkers to prevent like a nuclear, anything nuclear from reaching them, or to provide secrecy to work on things, I would think. It kind of blows the secrecy thing out when you got, 25 porta potties and 100 or 150 cars out there. And this makes no sense. Why would people not? You got enough space under there for the Air Force One and helicopters and a train, but you don't got enough space for people to park?
Nice. And
you don't got bathrooms? Why don't they got bathrooms in a deep underground base? You're like, listen, this is so stupid and so ridiculous, right? Like, imagine the scientists that work there. Like, listen, I would like to keep trying to back engineer this alien spacecraft, but I really got to take a shit, so I got to go up top. I got to go topside and use the porta potty. I got to go topside and take a shit before I can continue to back engineer this alien spacecraft. This is so stupid. And as stupid as this is, imagine the idiots that helped hype this, that helped this man take money from people for this level of stupidity, this level of illogical, childish, nonsensical stories that don't make sense.